Hi everyone, I'm Sophia from the USA. Please like and subscribe to SDA. When I was little, I'd always wanted to be like my parents, high-achieving scientists. But as I grew, I realized I could never because I sucked at everything. Driving lessons, sports, school.
Another F, Sophia.
So, I gave up. My parents were often disappointed, but they always tried to be understanding.
You'll do much better if you just put in the effort.
I wish it was that easy, but being used to failure just had a way of making me feel insecure about myself and everything. In school, I was even known as the unpopular loser.
Hey, loser! Disappear! We need this spot! Is your name written on it?
That was Heather, the smartest girl in my class, and her dumb, super rich boyfriend, Cameron. I never understood what she saw in him. He was way below her standards. He gave me a mean stare, and I just left the table for them.
Whatever. I was done eating anyways.
After school that day, I headed home, and on the way, spotted a new antique store that I'd never seen before and walked in to look around. I mistakenly bumped into a shelf of figurines, and everything clattered to the floor. I apologized to the owner as I picked them up.
I'm so sorry. You look like you might be going through something. Talk to me, child. What's wrong?
I don't really talk to strangers.
Especially ones who looked mysterious and sniffed at people like creeps.
I'm no ordinary stranger. I can sense a bad aura around you. So many failures.
She was right, but how?
How did you know that? You'll find out. I have just the thing for you.
The woman disappeared behind her desk and brought out a weird figurine of a man with marks on his face and something like a small horn protruding backwards.
What's that? It's a very special, important artifact. It'll take care of all of your failures. Have you ever heard of Eshu, an Orisha of the Yubora tribe in Nigeria?
No. What about him? Before the woman could say anything more, someone interrupted, and she became preoccupied with him, so I had to leave. That night, I did a little browsing and found out that Eshu was a powerful god of change, fate, duality, crossroads, a few more things, but there was one constant in every source I checked. He could alter a lot in a person's life, like my grades. Wait, there's more. Eshu can also cause bad change. Well, that's a downer. Was the artifact safe to use? But the good outweighed the bad, and it was super tempting. Well, I'm sure the bad was something I could handle. I had to use this.
Please help me score better grades in school and make me so popular and confident.
I got a piece of rope from my jewelry bud and tied the artifact around my neck like a pendant before I slept off. I woke up the next day feeling extremely confident and better than ever. The artifact's magic was working. I dressed up for school and couldn't even recognize myself in the mirror. At school, everyone stared at me in shock, and it only made me feel more confident. In the classroom later that day, the teacher gave a pop quiz, and guess what?
Dan, a C. Frankie, a B.
Wait for it.
And Sophia, an A.
I had scored an A! OMG! This artifact was my good luck charm. After class, I headed to the cafeteria and found Heather taunting another student as usual. I was filled with so much confidence as I approached her.
Hey, leave her alone! Or what? You can't do anything.
I grabbed a plate of pasta and splashed it on her face, and she looked so furious.
Ah! You ruined my makeup!
After Heather left, I faced the girl she had been attacking.
Hey, are you all right? Sorry, I can't hear without my hearing aid. I'm deaf. Thank you for saving me back there. I'm Lottie, by the way.
I'm Sophia. Why did you let Heather push you around?
Oh, I'm new here, and I only wanted her to show me around. I didn't know she'd be mean.
Well, I can show you around if you want.
Really? Thanks!
As promised, I showed Lottie around, and from there, we became really tight friends and were practically inseparable. The school term finally came to an end, and I made it to the top of my class. Mom and Dad were so happy that they got me tons of gifts.
We're so proud of you, baby girl. We got you presents.
If only they knew about the artifact. I felt like a fraud deceiving my innocent parents, but I couldn't tell them the truth, or the smiles on their faces would disappear. Everything felt like it was going so well for me, and it made Heather mad.
Hey, loser! I don't know how you suddenly went from an F to an A, but no one takes my spot. Maybe just study harder instead of being a meanie. Stay out of my spot, or you'll hate crossing me.
Heather walked away and I just scoffed. I guess she wasn't used to taking second place. The next week, I was feeling lucky, so I decided to rekindle my love for science once more and take part in my town's science fair. I came out as the overall winner with a whopping cash prize of $2,000.
And the winner of this year's science fair is Sophia!
Congratulations, honey! Don't be reckless with your money. Save it in a bank, all right?
At school, I became so popular that I practically overthrew Heather from her throne. And I decided I was going to use some of my money to throw a big party. I had to prove to everyone my loser era was over. Lottie and I spent the whole day discussing plans. I think I'll rent a fancy mansion for the party. That'll cost a lot of money. I can always get another. Why do you sound so sure? I figured I could trust Lottie, so I showed her the artifact. It's an artifact of the Yoruba god, Eshu, in Nigeria. He can change a person's life and fate. Do your parents know about it? Nope. I can't tell them. And they don't have to know about this party either. Promise me, Lottie? Promise. But at some point, you know they'll find out, right? I'll handle that when the day comes. Anyways, come on. We have to share these flyers around school. Lottie and I got to school and shared the flyers around. And later, when we finished, we were spending some time in the cafeteria when Heather and Cameron approached us.
Hey, heard you were having a party. Where are our invites?
I thought that was pretty obvious. You're not invited. The words flowed freely from my mouth, and I felt like it was because of the artifact.
You'll regret saying that. Come on, Heather.
Cameron grabbed Heather's hand, and for a moment, she pulled her arm away like she didn't want to go with him. But he grabbed it, and she just went along. That was weird. Good riddance. They don't own this school. The next day, I dressed up in my party clothes for the party. The pendant on my neck didn't match my outfit, so I took it off and carefully placed it in my handbag. Then, I wore a large coat over my dress to hide it from my parents. Mom, Dad, I'm going over to Lottie's. I'm staying the night, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Why are you dressed in a coat?
It's a little cold outside. Don't want to fall sick.
All right, honey. Be safe.
Phew, that was close. As soon as I got out, I took off my coat and headed straight for the party. And it was so fun. That wasn't until the crazy couple, Cameron and Heather, crashed it. Like, literally, crashed into it with a car. I'm calling the cops on you two. You almost hurt everyone. I warned you. To my surprise, Heather ran towards me and started begging.
Please, don't call the cops. Cameron didn't mean it. We're sorry.
Seeing her apologize for the first time ever gave me such a power trip, and I just couldn't help the next few words that came out of my mouth. Prove you're sorry. Say, "You're my queen, Sophia, and I'm such a loser." Here, in front of everyone. To my surprise, Heather said the words. "You're my queen, Sophia, and I'm such a loser." Good. Now, leave my party and never come back. Cameron looked furious, but Heather grabbed his arm and pulled him away. Come on, Cameron. After the crazy couple left, I turned around to face an upset Lottie. You didn't have to go that far with Heather. It was mean. She and Cameron deserved it. They crashed my party, but you didn't have to turn into her to make a point. Come on, Lottie. I could never be like Heather. I convinced Lottie I was on my best behavior, and after a while, she cheered up. Fine. Can I keep my phone in your bag? I don't want to lose it. I gave Lottie the bag and just kept dancing. The next morning when I got home, I noticed the artifact was missing from my bag. And after spending hours searching, I realized who must have taken it. Where is it? What are you talking about? My artifact! Don't act like you don't know! Isn't it always around your neck? It was in my bag yesterday, which I gave you. You're the only one I told of its powers. Stop acting dumb! That's not a nice way to talk to a friend. A thief isn't my friend. Took only a little popularity and some cash for you to turn into a meanie too, huh? Lottie furiously banged her locker door in my face and stomped away. And I was so mad at everything. I needed to cool down, so I went into the bathroom. And after a little while, Heather and a strange older lady walked in. I didn't want to be noticed, so I tried to stay as quiet as possible. Mom, Cameron is crazy. I don't want to be with him.
Shush! Do you want to ruin the business deal I have with his father? It was just a car crash into some silly party.
He almost hurt someone and destroyed people's stuff.
Why are you so difficult? All you have to do is date the dumb boy and help him with his scores since he can't even spell his own name.
But he's a psycho. I'm tired of pretending to everyone that I like him.
You'll pretend for as long as I want you to. Also, you need to come right at the top of your class again. You're starting to look stupid to Cameron's parents. I can't afford that. Do you understand?
Heather's mom sounded so mean, and I felt so bad for the way I'd treated Heather in the past. As soon as her mom left, she fell against the toilet sink crying, and I just wanted to come out and comfort her. Until her stupid boyfriend walked in with a long stack of books, which he dumped right in front of her. The nerve!
Go away, Cameron! You look ugly when you cry. Anyways, I have some more assignments for you. I need them by tomorrow.
Who did he think he was? Seeing him speak that way to Heather made me so furious I stepped out of my hiding spot. Hey, jerk! Why don't you go away like she asked you to? You again! No one's here, so I'll just deal with you once and for all! Cameron tried to attack me, but Heather suddenly stood between us. If you don't go away, I won't write your assignments! The threat seemed to work, because he glared at me before he turned around and walked out of the toilet. Heather turned towards me. You didn't hear or see anything here today. Then she grabbed Cameron's books and followed suit without even glancing at me. Throughout the day, I tried to catch her alone and succeeded when I found her in an empty class. Hey, are you alright? Just because I stood up for you to my jerk of a boyfriend doesn't mean we're friends. I had no idea what you were going through, and I'm sorry for making your pain worse. Oh, don't be the goody-goody two-shoes now, queen. All day, I felt so guilty about how I treated Heather that I didn't even notice the cops and my furious parents standing in front of my home.
Miss Sophia, you're under arrest for vandalizing the properties of a mansion rented to you for a party.
What are you talking about? Cameron was the one who crashed the party, not me! The cop didn't even listen to me as they placed me in handcuffs and took me away. My parents couldn't look at me once. They later came to the station to bail me out that night, and the ride home was really quiet. As soon as we got home, they faced me.
Heather told us everything, and we're so disappointed in you. An artifact and a party? Really? You lied to us. We didn't bring you up that way, Sophia.
Jeez, they were right. I was a horrible person. I broke down into tears. I'm so sorry. Everyone made me feel like such a loser. I just wanted to prove you all wrong. I didn't mean to hurt anyone.
Oh, honey, you're not a loser. We've never thought you were one. We just wanted you to believe in yourself and do better. You don't need an artifact for that. You just need yourself.
I love you too so much. Mom and Dad's words comforted me, and after a while, my tears subsided.
There's someone you need to see. She really cares about you.
Mom and Dad left the room, and Lottie walked in. Overwhelmed by my emotions, I hugged her. Lottie, I didn't mean any of those things I told you. I know. You were kind of right. I did steal your artifact, but it was only because I wanted to help you. I don't understand. I looked up Eshu, and I know he likes to show the two sides to everything. You got everything you wanted, but you also became mean and unlike yourself. You even started lying to your parents. I'm going to fix everything. Lottie's words made a lot of sense to me, so the next day, we decided to return the artifact back to the antique owner.
Welcome back, child. You look better than the last time you were here.
Thank you. I just wanted to return this. It gave me what I wanted, but I also turned into a bad person.
Oh, child, that was all you. Not this fake replica artifact of Eshu. I sensed an aura of insecurity around you and figured you needed something to boost your confidence. It was all a mind trick.
I couldn't believe my ears. Everything I won was all on my own, and the people I hurt in the process too. Wow, Sophia, that means you must be a genius. Everything felt too good to be true, but there was one lingering question on my mind. Who are you?
A fortune teller.
Thank you for helping me discover myself. After that day, I became better and started to put effort into everything I did. But there was one thing left, Heather.
Heather was the student with the highest score.
After class ended that day, she approached me. Did you fail yourself to give me a higher score? What? That's ridiculous. You're bad at lying. Thank you, I guess. And I'm sorry about being mean to you and your friend. I wanted an output for my anger, and I used you to. You didn't deserve it. Just like Cameron doesn't deserve you. You're right. I need to end things with him. I'll be with you as your support. If his parents or your mom try anything, we can sue them with some of my lottery money. Thank you so much, Sophia. Heather later ended things with Cameron, and to everyone's surprise, she became close friends with me and Lottie. We were like the Powerpuff Girls. Together, we all graduated at the top of our class, and I grew up to be a scientist just like my parents. Effort really pays off, guys. You just have to try. The easy way out isn't always the best way.
Celine, don't forget your glasses.
Mom called out to me as I walked across the lawn to my new college dorm room. I wish she'd just go home already. I loved my mom, but she reminded me of a life I wanted to leave behind. Throughout high school, everyone said I was a nerd.
It's okay to be a nerd. Some of the richest people in the world were school nerds.
That was Mom's idea of a pep talk whenever I came home sad because some kid at school bullied me. Graduation couldn't have come soon enough. When I got accepted to my college of choice, I was super excited. But my excitement died down when I imagined that it would be like high school all over again.
Celine!
I was startled by my mom. Oh yeah, the glasses, I said as I walked back to the car. Thanks, Mom. Have a safe trip back.
Are you sure you don't need me to help you unpack?
I'll be fine. Go. I wasn't planning to unpack just yet, because I had appointments to get to. First with the optician, to have my glasses replaced with contacts, and then with the hairstylist right after. Then I was going to have my first kiss. Somewhere in there, I plan to study too. Before I wow you with my new look, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, hit that notification bell. My first kiss depends on it.
Hi, is this seat taken?
Charlie, a guy in my class, asked me. Charlie was the male version of me in high school, complete with thick glasses, a heavy backpack, and a sweater vest.
Yeah, it's taken. Celine was reserving it for me.
Scarlett, my new friend, walked past Charlie and sat in the empty seat. Scarlett and I met at the mall when I went shopping for clothes to go with my new look. She was super popular and had a huge following online. Charlie nodded, then went to look for another seat.
You're welcome.
For...
Girl, please. You don't work so hard to look like that just so you could date the class nerd.
He just needed a seat? Nobody said anything about dating.
Please don't tell me you feel sorry for him.
Not really. It's just that he reminds me of someone I used to know. What I meant was, he reminded me of someone I used to be.
Whatever. I need you to come with me to some boring meeting.
The boring meeting turned out to be with Steve, a guy who needed Scarlett to advertise his new dating app on her Instagram page.
The app is called Blind. We named it that because unlike other dating apps, users cannot upload any photos of themselves or use their real names.
What? How are people supposed to find each other?
Through their likes, dislikes, common interests, and stuff like that.
Scarlett looked bored.
Whatever. Tell me what you need me to post.
All you have to do is tell your followers about the app and how it works.
Done.
Scarlett replied as she got up to leave.
There's one more thing. Blind will get more downloads if you sign up and announce you're looking for a match.
I don't need an app to find a date.
Of course not, but we're willing to pay double the amount if you keep your profile up and running for a month, then pick one guy to meet for one dinner.
A few hours later, Scarlett posted a video of herself creating a profile on Blind. The video already had more than 500,000 views. Wow! Blind already has over 1 million downloads.
Must be the guys hoping to go on a date with me.
Scarlett was not known for being humble. An incoming notification pinged on her phone. Another match? Scarlett made a face.
Yeah, I don't get it. I made my profile as boring as possible.
What do you mean?
Here, see for yourself.
She tapped the Blind icon on her phone screen. I don't understand. Whose profile is this? Scarlett smiled proudly.
Mine!
Since when do you like going to the library and watching the History Channel?
I don't. I just wrote that to confuse people.
Even I was confused. But don't you have to chat with several guys until you pick your dinner date?
Yeah, so?
So your profile basically says you're a nerd, meaning you'll attract fellow nerds? You don't even speak nerd.
You do.
Huh?
Come on, Celine. I know all about your Extreme Makeover College Edition. You may have changed your look, but you're still the same girl.
I haven't told anybody.
Your secret is safe with me.
I smiled in relief.
So, I was thinking...
Scarlett tapped her long manicured nails on the table.
You could take over my Blind profile.
Take over?
Accept chat requests and reply to chats from my matches.
But how will you pick your date if you don't chat with them yourself?
You'll pick. All I have to do is show up and look hot as always.
What if he wants to keep seeing you?
I'll just let him down easy.
Scarlett was so smart, it was scary.
Something funny?
I looked up to see Charlie standing in front of me. I was sitting on a bench in between classes. Huh?
You were smiling just now.
Oh, it's nothing. Just this guy I've been talking to online. He's really funny.
Lucky guy.
It's nothing serious. We're just getting to know each other.
So, if I asked you out for coffee, there's a chance you'd say yes?
I didn't hate Charlie. In fact, he seemed kind and interesting. It's just that Scarlett would not approve.
I guess I may have my answer.
He said as he started to walk away. Why did I feel like I just kicked a basket full of puppies? Another chat popped on my screen, and I smiled even before I read it. It was from Archie, one of the guys that matched Scarlett's pseudo profile. We had been chatting for 2 weeks now. He was smart and funny. I was starting to get butterflies in my stomach every time my phone pinged.
So, don't you think it's time we met?
Dread filled my stomach when I read his newest chat. I really wished I could say yes, but this was Scarlett's account. In about 1 week, the blind Scarlett dinner date, as Steve called it, would be happening. A few days earlier, Scarlett asked me to pick her date for the dinner, and I picked Archie. She also requested I go with her. Why? People are expecting to see you and Archie. I'll just be in the way.
You won't be. Steve will reserve a table for you to sit alone.
Imagine setting your boyfriend up for a date with another girl. Now imagine sitting a few tables away and watching them the whole evening. Yep, definitely not fun. Not that Archie was my boyfriend or anything, but it was definitely heading in that direction. Too bad it was about to blow up in my face. Wow, you look stunning, Scar. It was the evening of the dinner date and we were in Scarlett's room getting ready. When Archie was contacted and informed that he'd been chatting with Scarlett the whole month, he immediately said yes to the date.
Thanks. Now tell me again, Archie is in college, loves math, has a pet named Sauce. What else am I forgetting?
That he likes me, not you. I wished I could say that out loud. Steve sent a limousine to pick us up. I felt like a celebrity. The venue for the date was elegantly decorated with flowers and beautiful lighting. There was even a red carpet. A crowd was already gathered.
All right, girls, let me show you to your tables. Once Scarlett is seated, Archie will walk in. Ready?
Steve said as he led us inside. He was wearing a tuxedo. I was excited to see Archie for the first time, but also sad because he wasn't there to meet me. As soon as we walked in, Scarlett smiled and waved. How could this be so easy for her? I was sweating bullets. Steve directed me to the table I'd be watching the date from.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. I know we're dying to see the guy that had Scarlett's attention for a month. Ladies and gentlemen, Archie.
I couldn't look. I shut my eyes tightly and tried to control my breathing.
What the heck? Is this a joke?
Scarlett sounded mad. I immediately opened my eyes and froze. Charlie? You're Archie? I couldn't hide the shock in my voice.
Yeah, hi Celine, surprise!
He tried to smile, but I could tell he was very nervous too. Steve had a camera trained on Scarlett.
Did you know?
Scarlett turned her full wrath on me. Scarlett, I swear I didn't.
Know what?
Scarlett completely ignored Charlie.
Why should I believe you? Tell me you didn't set me up so I could be humiliated.
What's humiliating about being on a date with Charlie? He's a really nice guy. He's also really smart.
Unbelievable. Did you develop feelings for him when you guys were chatting on my accounts?
What?
This dinner was getting more disastrous by the minute.
You know what? I don't care. He's all yours. Steve, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
A few minutes later, she was gone. Steve paced the floor, scratching his head.
We could still save this. How? Scarlett would rather eat glass than be seen with me.
Steve looked at me.
Scarlett said you were the one chatting with Charlie the whole time, right?
Yeah. Where was he going with this?
How do you guys feel about continuing with the dinner?
I was about to say no, but then I realized this was it. This was the day I dreamt about for the past 1 month. Archie was right in front of me, and all I had to do was say yes. I turned and walked towards the exit, just like Scarlett did. When I got to the door, I turned and walked back towards Charlie, smiling and pretending I was seeing him for the first time. Hi, I'm Celine.
So not cool. I thought you were gonna walk out on me too.
Charlie laughed. He looked so relaxed now. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Dinner went great. We ended up talking for hours. To my relief, he wasn't mad or anything. At the end of the evening, the limousine drove us back to my dorm room. This must be what being in a fairy tale feels like, I thought to myself as we said our goodbyes. Over the next few weeks, Charlie and I went out for more dates. We sat together in class and held hands while walking around college. Adorable, right? Now if only I could gather the courage to kiss him. One evening, I was getting dressed for a date with Charlie when Scarlett knocked on my door. We hadn't seen or spoken to each other since she walked out on Charlie weeks ago. Steve came running behind her.
Did you know?
Was she broken or something? I already answered that question weeks ago. Nice to see you too, Scar. And no, I didn't know that Archie was Charlie. And why are you so mad still? You still got paid. Just then, Charlie walked in, carrying a bouquet of flowers. He immediately tensed when he saw Scarlett and Steve.
Is everything okay?
Charlie, hi. About the other day, I'm so sorry for walking out on you. No hard feelings?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we can go for coffee soon?
I'm sorry, what? Why was she being nice all of a sudden?
I'm so sorry, boss. I thought you already told Celine, so I told Scarlett. I was going to tell Celine the truth tonight.
I was so lost. The truth about what?
The truth about who he really is. Charlie is my boss, and also the brains behind the blind app.
Oh, for God's sake, if Steve won't say it, I will. Celine, your boyfriend is a freaking billionaire. I can't believe I gave him to you.
So many things went through my head at once. I said what came to mind first. Charlie is not my boyfriend. At least not yet, but I was going to ask him to...
I think Celine and I need to have a talk. Alone.
Steve nodded and walked out. Scarlett reluctantly followed him, but not before she asked Charlie to call her about that coffee date. Yeah, that was not going to happen. So, this whole thing was you testing your app?
What? No. Okay, at first, yes. When I created my profile, I didn't expect to meet anyone special. But then we talked for a month and I was dying to meet you. Even though our first meeting wasn't exactly planned, I still had a great time. I'm sorry I didn't tell you right away. I was going to tell you tonight.
I'm a little mad you didn't tell me right away, but I'm sure you had your reasons, especially after that whole thing with Scarlett. If I was being honest, I'd also hidden a few things from him, though nothing as big as him being a billionaire. That was going to take a while to get used to.
Are we still on for dinner?
Yes, we have so much to talk about. On our way out, we bumped into my mom. Mom, what are you doing here?
Celine? Is that really you? You look so different.
Mom, is everything all right at home?
Everyone's fine. I'm here because your new glasses got delivered. Dr. Sloan said your old ones were due for a replacement. But I see you don't need them anymore.
Actually, I do, I said as I took the small package from her hands. Charlie, meet my mom. Mom, meet Charlie, my...
Boyfriend, it's nice to meet you.
While Charlie and Mom got acquainted, I rushed back into my dorm room to remove my contacts. A few minutes later, I walked out, wearing the glasses Mom brought. So, what do you think?
Wow.
Charlie adjusted his glasses as he walked towards me. Why are you so nervous?
What makes you think I'm nervous?
You just adjusted your glasses. I used to do that all the time when I was nervous. Charlie was standing really close to me now.
I'm nervous because I'm about to kiss you.
I adjusted my glasses too, and we both smiled. And that, my dear viewers, is how I got my first kiss. Thanks for hitting that notification bell.
Stay away from me and stop making up stories about me. Please stop following me around like a lost puppy.
I couldn't believe that Mason could say such mean things to me. What happened to my best friend? I walked away with my head low, ignoring the laughter and whispers from everyone in my class. Hi, my name is Amy. 10 years ago, my best friend Mason moved away with his family. Now he's back, but he's not the Mason that I used to know. Wanna know why? Watch till the end. But first, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, hit that notification bell so you don't miss more cool stories.
OMG, he's like so hot.
My friend Chloe was practically vibrating in her seat.
Oh please, he'll be mine by the end of third period.
Sam, my other friend, rolled her eyes. What are you guys talking about? They both looked at me like I'd grown 2 heads.
Have you been living in a cave? Sometimes I wonder how you'd survive without us. There's a new guy in school. We saw him at the principal's office. Please let him be in our class.
Chloe put her hands together and looked up at the ceiling. Just then, the door opened and a tall boy with blonde hair walked in.
OMG, OMG, OMG.
Breathe, Chloe.
Class, I'd like you to welcome Mason Greenwood. He transferred from out of state.
Mr. Radish, our math teacher, announced. I knew that name. Mason? Oh my god, is that really you? Everyone stared at me.
Amy? Amy the piggy?
The whole class laughed. Yes, but I don't go by that anymore. As you can see, no more pigtails.
Of course. Wow, look at you. You look so different now.
I blushed a little. Chloe and Sam were watching us with their mouths open.
Mason, please sit. You and Amy will catch up later.
He took the only available seat in front of me. I didn't pay attention to Mr. Radish for the rest of the class.
Start talking, piggy.
Math class just ended. Chloe, Sam, and I stood outside waiting for Mason to finish talking to Mr. Radish. Don't call me that. Mason and I grew up together, but he moved 10 years ago.
Where did he move to? Heaven? Because they must have been missing an angel.
I'm no angel.
Mason laughed as he joined us. Oh God. I'm so sorry. My friends can be annoying. Sam rolled her eyes and pretended not to notice Mason standing right next to her. After a few awkward minutes of Chloe introducing herself to Mason, Mason and I excused ourselves and left.
So, Chloe,
I'm so embarrassed right now. She's not always like that, I promise.
I actually liked her energy.
Don't let her hear you say that. She'll declare you her boyfriend.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
We're both laughing now. Well, I guess it depends if you like wearing matching socks and drawing hearts on each other's notebooks. Mason visibly cringed. I thought so.
It's so good to see you again. How have you been? How's your mom?
Over the next few days, Mason and I spent a lot of time together. I invited him over to dinner and we had a great time remembering the good old days. Remember when we snuck out and you crashed your bike by Wickery Bridge? Mason looked confused for a minute but then smiled.
To be honest, I don't remember much from back then. It's part of the reason I decided to come back. I didn't want to completely forget this place. And you.
That's so sweet. We're glad to have you back.
Thanks, Mrs. Anderson.
After dinner, we went for a walk. Come on, you have to remember that night. You hurt your knee so bad you ended up in hospital. You had a huge scar here, see? I looked at his knee and was surprised to see that the scar was no longer there.
You're staring. More like drooling.
I'm not. The girls and I were watching as Mason and the rest of the basketball team practiced. He had joined the team about a week ago, much to my surprise. Mason never had any interest in sports, let alone basketball. Things had become a little bit tense between us after our walk that night. He looked uneasy around me. Whenever I brought up something from our childhood, he changed the subject or became very moody.
Amy, look! When did that even happen?
Mason was kissing Tracy, my sworn enemy. Tracy lived across the street from Mason and I. When we were kids, she made playing in our neighborhood a nightmare. She teased Mason about his braces and his glasses. Sometimes he'd go home crying. She's the one that came up with the name Amy the Piggy. Mason told everyone that the name was because I always had my hair in pigtails, but Tracy said it because I was fat. 10 years later, she was still just as mean, if not worse. How could he kiss her? I stood up and walked past them. Tracy looked at me and smiled. So did Mason. That evening, our doorbell rang and I ran to answer it. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be across the street with Tracy? Ugh, I hate that I sounded jealous.
Come on, Amy. She's different now.
Wow.
Anyway, I just thought we could hang out a bit. What do you say?
What happened to your scar?
I'm getting tired of this. Can we hang out or not?
You didn't answer me.
Unbelievable. You know what? I tried. Goodbye, Amy.
He walked across the street to Tracy's house. Something was off with them. I could feel it. I just wasn't sure what. At school the next day, I saw Mason walk behind the library and jump over the fence. I followed him and did the same. I was no athlete, but I'd jumped over that fence a lot of times. At first, I thought he was going home, but a few hundred meters from home, he turned onto a deserted dirt road. The only property along the road was an abandoned factory. When he got to the factory gate, he stopped. An older guy was leaning against the gate, smoking. A car was parked nearby. I hid behind the wall and watched them.
What took you so long? I've been here an hour.
Basketball practice. Come on, let's go in.
I still don't get why you had to go and join that stupid team.
High school is boring. I need to occupy myself.
Whatever. Did Amy stop asking questions?
The mention of my name startled me and I took a step back. I stepped on a rock and fell.
What was that? Is somebody there?
My heart was beating so fast.
Come on, Joel, let's go.
I heard car doors open, then close a few seconds later. I peered around the corner and saw Mason and Joel disappear into some buildings. They were carrying 2 duffel bags. A few minutes later, they walked out without the bags. After they drove off, I thought about going in to check what was in those bags, but I didn't want to risk getting caught, so I left. Joel didn't look like the warm and fuzzy type.
Earth to Amy!
Chloe and I were in my room working on some assignments. She shut her book and stared at me.
Okay, talk.
I wasn't sure if I could trust Chloe with what I'd seen.
Amy, you're scaring me.
It's Mason. I saw him do something suspicious. Probably illegal.
What? When was this?
A few days ago, I followed him to the old factory by Raven Road. I told her everything. By the time I was done talking, Chloe was dialing Sam's number. What are you doing?
Hey, Sam, you need to get to Amy's right now.
Sam arrived half an hour later.
You want to tell me why you made me rush here like you guys were on fire? Sorry to disturb your beauty sleep, princess. We have a mission to get to.
Chloe filled in Sam on everything as we walked to the factory. When we got there, it was already dark and we had to use our phones as flashlights. The girls followed me to the building Mason and Joel had disappeared to a few days ago.
If I see a rat, I'm out of here.
We walked in and out of several empty rooms. Guys, look! In a corner, partially covered by rubble, were 2 duffel bags. Chloe ran and opened one of the bags. She dropped her phone and walked backwards.
Please don't say someone's dead in there.
I shone my flashlight towards the open bag. It's money. A lot of it. Probably millions. I opened the other bag and found even more money.
I don't like this. We need to get out of here now.
Should we call the police?
I don't want any trouble. Let's just leave.
We bolted out of there and didn't stop until we were outside the factory gate. When we got to my house, Mom told the girls that it was late and they needed to go home. That night, I had nightmares of Mason being a two-faced monster who took off his face at night. Yeah, no thank you. The next morning, I told Mom everything.
We need to call the police now. You should have told me last night.
Half an hour later, a police officer rang our doorbell and asked Mom and me to follow him. We arrived at the factory a few minutes later. I led them to the room with the money, only when we got there, it was empty. The money was gone.
Are you sure this is where it was?
Was there any money at all, miss? You know how kids are nowadays.
I knew that voice. I turned and blood drained from my face. It was Joel standing right behind my mom. He was in a police uniform. But I saw you. You and Mason put the money here a few days ago. You're a police officer?
This is Officer Callahan. He was transferred to our station a few weeks ago. What are you accusing him of?
He was here before. Him and my friend, neighbor, Mason. They took the money from a car and carried it here.
Amy, that's enough. Let's go now. We're sorry we wasted your time, officers. I'll make sure Amy never does this again.
But Mom, you have to believe me. I saw him.
Enough. I won't have you make false accusations about me. You're clearly a disturbed girl.
I ran out in tears. What on earth was going on? The next day at school, I knew I had to talk to Mason. I was sure of what I'd seen and I wanted to find out what was happening. Mason, can we talk?
Stay away from me and stop making up stories about me. Please stop following me around like a lost puppy.
I couldn't believe that Mason could say such mean things to me. What happened to my best friend? I walked away with my head low, ignoring the laughter and whispers from everyone in my class. I skipped school the next day. Chloe and Sam called, but I didn't pick up. Mom was so mad at me, I thought she'd ground me for life. Honestly, that would be fine with me because I was never going outside ever again anyway. An hour later, I was outside. There were loud noises coming from Mason's house. Before I could talk myself out of it, I ran all the way there. Mason, are you in there? The door opened and Mason ran out.
What now?
Is everything okay? I heard shouting.
For God's sake, Amy, leave me alone. Go back to your house before...
Who's in there with you? I pushed my way past him and walked into his house.
You shouldn't have done that.
Joel stood by the window looking down the street. He sounded so calm and cold. I knew immediately that I was in big trouble. I turned to walk back outside, but Mason stood in my way.
Why couldn't you just leave me alone? I don't know how Mason was ever friends with you. You're so annoying.
I knew it. Who are you? They both laughed.
She never stops, does she?
You have no idea.
I'm calling the police. When I took out my phone, fake Mason lunged at me. Get away from me! Somebody help! I screamed at the top of my lungs. He tried to cover my mouth, but I bit him and kept on screaming. Loud knocking came from the door.
Police, open up!
I slipped out of fake Mason's hold and went for the door. I opened it and ran into someone's arms. Let go of me!
Amy, calm down. It's me, Mason.
I looked up and stared into hazel eyes and glasses. Mason?
Yes, it's me. Are you hurt?
I hugged him as I cried. It's so good to see you. I thought I was going crazy. The door opened and police officers walked out. Joel and fake Mason were in handcuffs. One officer was carrying 2 duffel bags.
Ivan, what are you doing in my house? And you are? I'm Mason. This is my parents' house. That's Ivan, my friend and neighbor back home. And that's Joel, his stepbrother. They robbed a store and skipped town. Why is Joel in police uniform? He's not an officer. We know that now. Police in your town tracked them here. They arrived this morning and asked for our assistance arresting them.
Mason and I stood at the bus station saying goodbye. It had been a crazy couple of days. The police had recorded our statement and assured us that Ivan and Joel would not be released anytime soon. Mason told me that his parents had sent him to check on the house after they received an electricity bill from the power company. The house hadn't had a tenant in months. When he arrived, he saw police cars outside. I don't want you to leave.
I have graduation coming up and so do you, but I promise I'll come back, okay?
Okay, are you still planning to go to college here? Before he left years ago, we agreed to go to the same college a few miles out of town.
Yeah, I was planning to surprise you, but I think you've had enough surprises.
I sure have. Well then, I'll see you in a few months.
You bet.
I couldn't wait to have my best friend back, the real one this time.
Aiden shared a look with Bradford and Kendrick as they sneered.
Me?
He repeated.
You want me, Aiden Saltwater, to teach you math? Are you out of your mind?
He looked at Bradford and Kendrick again, surprised.
Couldn't you find any smart girl in our class to teach you?
He really couldn't believe it. I looked scared and humble, but deep down I was cackling like an evil wizard. You are the brightest and best student in math class that I know of. You also have a special way of explaining things to people and no one can do it like you, I said in a very calm, sweet way. He blushed for a second, then quickly changed his facial expression to one of disgust once he noticed that his friends were looking at him.
Well,
He was scratching his head. My sweet talk was working.
let's see if we can start on...
He was about to agree when Bradford interrupted him.
Aiden will not be teaching you anything. Get out of here, will you?
He said in his British tongue, the accent that he used to deceive all the girls on campus. Jerk. As they tried to drive off, I stepped in front of Aiden's car. Aiden looked perplexed. I've already had this discussion with Mr. Orson, our math teacher. If I don't score A's on all my math papers this semester, you'll fail all of yours, you selfish human. And with that, I started walking off. I could already smell defeat, even though I was backing them.
Wait!
Aiden said. Bradford was shooting me a very intimidating look. I almost peed my pants, but then Aiden continued.
Meet me at home tomorrow by 7 p.m. Don't be late.
And then they sped off. Bradford made sure to splash a little bit of dirty water from a puddle on me as he drove off. Jerk. My plan was in motion. I was attractive, so I knew that it wouldn't take too long to get Aiden to become totally smitten with me. Then Bradford, the jerk. And finally, Kendrick. Those dudes didn't even know what was coming. You mess with my best friend, you mess with me. Hello, my name is Wicker. Till this day, I haven't figured out why my parents gave me that name. But if you believe that you're gonna give your children reasonable names, then quickly hit the like and subscribe button so we can go on with the story. I'm about to tell you just how I made the 3 hottest guys in my university fight over me. And maybe you'll be able to learn a thing or two from me, but only if you hit those buttons. Last week, Jordan ran into my room looking like an absolute mess. This meant something was really wrong because Jordan always looked charming and put together no matter what. Jay, what's wrong? I asked, scared.
You were right. It was just a game. They were just playing with me, Wicker. Why didn't I listen to you?
She cried badly. I knew what she was talking about immediately. The 3 hottest guys in our university had been asking Jordan out at the same time. I knew that this wasn't a normal thing for a group of friends to do at once, unless it was a bet. I told Jordan this, but she refused to believe me.
Why are you being jealous, Wicker? Why can't you support me for once in your life?
She screamed. What? What do you mean? I always support you. I'm just trying to tell you to look at this from a different point of view. Do you think it's normal for these 3 guys with a reputation to ask you out at the same time? She shook her head and told me that instead of bringing negative stuff up all the time, I should try to look at things from the positive side. She was a hotcake. The 3 guys that all the girls on campus wanted her. I tried my best to stop her from getting hurt. I even sabotaged her dates a few times, but she cut me off once she found out. I didn't know what was happening in her life anymore, so I couldn't intervene. These 3 jerks convinced her to miss her exams and go partying with them instead. They got her to send them pictures which they printed and stuck on all the lockers in school. They also did a few more terrible things to her. Things that I don't even think are appropriate to say out loud. I got so angry that I promised Jordan that I would deal with them.
What are you going to do?
She asked, her face swollen as a result of consistent crying. Never mind that, Jay. Just relax, I said as I wiped her face and patted her head. I was in front of Aiden's house by 6:50 p.m. I rang the doorbell and he opened it. He was taken aback immediately.
It's not yet 7 p.m., you dummy!
He screamed as he slammed the door in my face, almost hitting my nose. Wow, what a dumbass. I was going to deal with this one specially, I thought as I stood there quite shaken. Aiden's mother apologized on his behalf and let me in. By 7 p.m., Aiden started teaching me math. I don't think I can count the number of times he called me dummy, even if I count with both my hands and feet. I kept making O's and ahs, even though I already understood everything he was teaching. Maybe even more than him. I just wanted him to feel special, and he did. It took 3 days of oohing and ahhing on my side to get him to start smiling. You're really special, you know, I told him one day. He blushed.
You really think so?
Of course. I see why girls are all over you in school now. I wish I was one of them. Maybe you'd pay me a little bit more attention. I put my hand over his and he didn't hit it off. He let it stay. He looked straight into my eyes and was about to say something when his mother burst into the room. We quickly detangled our hands from each other, but I think she saw it. The next day, our chemistry teacher asked the class a question, and no one could answer it until Bradford did. Our teacher praised him and told him to sit down. After class, I met Bradford at his desk.
What do you want, weirdo?
He asked. I stared at him a little bit before saying, I don't know why everyone thinks Aiden is the smartest one amongst you three. I mean, you obviously are. I wish you were my tutor instead of Aiden, I said as I walked away. He called back to me.
Well, weirdo, if you want, I could help you out a little bit tonight, but only if you want it though. Not like I want to teach you or anything.
Of course, I'll come. I smiled and tried to walk away when Aiden blocked me.
Hey, Wicker, you're coming over tonight, right?
Nope, I said, leaving him confused. Bradford didn't say anything either and just left him there. Hanging out with Bradford was fun. He was actually quite smart, much smarter than Aiden. He also taught me how to play basketball and football. We shortly became friends, but for some reason, I missed Aiden. I told Jordan how I felt, and she surprised me with her reply.
Oh no, you can't like Aiden. That wasn't part of your plan. Aiden is mine, and only mine. You're supposed to bring him crawling to me.
I never told her about my feelings for Aiden again. I noticed that I had spent too much time with Bradford, and it was time to move on to my new prey, Kendrick. This was going to be fun. Becoming friends with Kendrick was more difficult than the others. He was only interested in partying and drinking, and after following him around for weeks without him paying any attention to me, I decided to challenge him to a drinking match. As you would expect, I passed out after just a few shots, so he had to take me home and call my parents to tell them that I was safe. I woke up the next day to hear some voices in the strange bedroom that I was sleeping in.
What the hell is Wicker doing on your bed, Kendrick? What have you done? Did you hurt him? And why are you so concerned, Aiden? What's your business with Wicker, huh? You're not his tutor anymore, so his business is no longer your business. Kendrick, if you hurt that boy in any way, I swear to God, I'll make sure your face meets my fist right away.
I could recognize Bradford's sweet British voice wherever I went.
You know what's funny? You guys asking me stupid questions about a guy who doesn't care about you. Guess whose bed he's in? Mine.
Bradford and Aiden pounced on Kendrick immediately he said this, and they all started fighting. I fell into an unconscious dark hole once again, but with a smile on my face this time because I knew that my work was done. Next thing will be to disappear from their lives forever and treat them like bullshit whenever they try to talk to me before the main embarrassment. I kept going in and out of consciousness, and the next time I woke up, I saw Aiden rubbing my cheek saying,
You'll be fine. I'm here. Nothing will happen to you.
I tried my best to avoid these three guys after that incident, but Aiden always found me. One day, he took me out to dinner and confessed his feelings for me. I broke down and told him the truth. I never loved or needed any of them. It was all just a plan for revenge because of what they did to Jordan. He stormed out and didn't contact me for 2 days, after which he called me and told me that he'd forgiven me for what I did, and that I should please forgive him for what they did to Jordan too. I told him I had already and fell deeper in love with him. He also apologized to Jordan. Then we started dating in secret because Jordan was still in love with him. I pondered over inviting him over to meet my parents, but we were so scared about how my parents would react seeing us 2 guys together. I finally made the decision and told him to come over one night for dinner, and this is when all hell broke loose, but not in the way you'd expect. Everyone accepted us and didn't behave like there was anything wrong with dating a boy. But then my mom kept acting strange. She was so nervous and said that she felt like she knew Aiden from somewhere. About an hour into our dinner, she started crying and said,
Oh my god, I remember now. It's you, Aiden. It's you. The birthmark, your eyes, your lips, and even the way you talk.
She almost fainted, but my dad caught her immediately. After she had taken some water and felt much better, she confessed that she had a child before getting married to my father. She had to give said child up for adoption because she wasn't mentally or financially able to take care of a child at that point in her life. My boyfriend Aiden was that child, she was certain. A DNA test was run the very next day, and it was confirmed. Aiden was really my elder brother. The terrible realization that we could no longer be together dawned on us, and as much as it hurt, we had to start avoiding each other. One day, while walking to class, I noticed Aiden and Jordan kissing. My heart almost stopped in my chest, but I just pretended that everything was all right. Jordan saw me grinning and continued kissing Aiden. She hated me now because she found out that I was dating Aiden in secret after she told me not to. She was happy that things turned out the way they did. After class, I was trying to just run home and cry a little bit when Bradford stopped me in my car.
Hey, need a ride?
Sure, why not? There was this awkward silence in the car for a long time before Bradford finally said,
I'm sorry about everything. About what we did to Jordan and how things turned out between you and Aiden. I'm really sorry. Please forgive me.
Me and Jordan have forgiven what you did to her. Now, about what happened between me and Aiden, it's nobody's fault.
Still, I'm sorry,
he said. I loved his British accent.
Would you like to go for dinner later today?
Bradford asked while scratching his head. I loved the fact that he wasn't cocky and overconfident with me. Instead, he was scared and insecure. Sure, I replied as he dropped me off. By 7 p.m., Bradford picked me up and took me to a fancy restaurant. He ushered me to a large table, and guess who I saw there? Aiden, Jordan, and Kendrick. What the hell is this, Brad?
Just sit down,
he signaled to the chair.
I see you're having fun with Bradford now.
Aiden sneered.
I thought he was a bully, wasn't he? How did you say it?
Take it easy, brother. Or someone would think you were jealous, I said, looking straight at Jordan.
I guess it's Bradford's turn to experience hurt and betrayal,
Jordan replied.
Bradford, if hurt and betrayal are too much for you to handle, I'll be happy to take Wicker off your hands.
Jordan rolled her eyes. Somehow, Bradford was able to talk sense into all of us. I apologized to Jordan and she apologized to me. Aiden, Bradford, and Kendrick apologized to Jordan again, and Aiden apologized to me for not telling me that he and Jordan had started dating. What happened was out of our control, and we were brothers now, so we had to act like it. We all became best friends, and Bradford and I later got married. Bradford treated me better than any other person would have. Last I heard, Kendrick got married to a beautiful girl and they traveled abroad. Sometimes we try to control life, but life always has its own plans for us. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed my story. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss another mind-blowing story from our channel. And make sure you click on another video from our channel and start watching once you're done with this one. Bye!
I noticed the weird looks people were giving me as I walked down the hall. A few guys were even smiling and winking at me. Weird. Something was definitely wrong. I just hadn't figured it out yet. Well, whatever. I'll just pack up and go home. Before I could quietly wriggle myself out of the school's massive doors, Beck approached me.
Hey, beautiful.
He said while spinning around me, a gesture that I believed he thought was romantic.
Want to go out on a date with me tonight? We'd get pizza and ice cream and then eat them all up in my car while looking at the stars.
Beck wasn't all that, but he wasn't that bad either. Besides, I didn't have anything interesting to do tonight, so I decided to accept.
Dude, is that the best you can do?
Jake interrupted with a grin on his face.
Bro, don't kill my shine.
Jake ignored him and turned to me. He held my hand and kissed it.
Kat, I have a big-ass cinema in my house with chefs and cleaners obeying my every command. Spend the night with me instead, and I can assure you we'll have the whole night to ourselves. No one will dare interrupt us.
Huh? Why in the world would Jake, the school player, ever think that I'll want to go out with him? He may have been a millionaire, but he knew I hated him. While I was still trying to understand what was going on, 2 more guys arrived and asked me on a date again. They started shouting at each other, and in seconds, they were all fighting. What the heck was happening? One of my oldest friends, Grissom, walked up to me, and I prayed to God that he wasn't coming to do the same thing. He walked up to me and didn't even say a word. Instead, he turned me around, removed a paper that was stuck on my back, handed it to me, and walked away. I held the massive paper that had been previously stuck on my back and read, "I'm open to anything." I turned red as I held it up to my face. So this is why these guys were bugging me. I turned back and used my eyes to scan the halls in search of the culprit. She stood at the end of the hall in all her glory, smirking and watching the events that she had put in motion unfold. I walked up to her, then angrily pushed the paper down her throat. She didn't see this coming, so she stood confused as she tried to remove the paper from her mouth. "You'll pay for this, Sam." Even with a mouthful of paper, her smirk was still visible. It was almost as if she was telling me to bring it on, and my reply to that was, "Yes, I plan to." Hello, my name is Kat, and this is my story, revealing how I escaped bullying and antagonization in high school. But believe me, it doesn't end in a way that you'd ever expect. Be a dear and like this video before continuing with the story. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss all the amazing stories that we have lined up for you. I think my face must have still been red when I got home because my mother immediately noticed that something was wrong.
Honey, are you okay? Tell me what the problem is.
There's no problem, Ma. Nothing is wrong.
Come on, Katerina, you're visibly upset.
Ma, I just want to eat something and go to bed, okay? I need to rest a little bit so I can wake up at night and read. We have a big test tomorrow.
Sure, Catty, just know that I'm always here for you and you can tell me absolutely anything.
Of course, Ma. Thanks. Wait a minute. Why did that show of concern sound a bit sketchy? I spotted my mom's phone on the dining table and dived towards it. She noticed where I was looking and tried to block me, but I was too fast for her. Once the phone was in my hand, I clicked the home button. To my surprise, the first thing I saw was a picture of me in school with the paper stuck on my back. Ah, Ma!
Don't, me. You don't tell me anything about your life. I have to find out from your classmates?
Well, that's because it wasn't true, Ma. It was a prank.
Oh, so you're still,
Oh, yes, I am, Ma. We don't need to talk about it. Who sent you this picture, though?
A classmate of yours. Her name is Sam?
Okay, Sam had gone too far this time. Sam and I had always been in kind of an invisible competition. This was because people always compared us to each other. Not only did we look alike, we always had the same grades and were both equally popular. It became like a Beyoncé and Rihanna thing. Our fans were always wondering who did one thing better than the other. Who wore it best? Who danced best? Who dates the best guys? Who has better friends? Who has richer parents? Who did this and who did that? We hardly ever spoke to each other, but we knew what was going on behind the scenes. I thought that we'd go on ignoring each other until we graduated, but Sam suddenly started pranking me. She put gum on my chair when I'm not looking and pretend to be unaware of the situation when I start looking for the culprit. A lot of my clothes were destroyed as a result of this prank. She'd tear my books, put spiders in my shoes, put rats in my locker and school bag, hide my outfit before gym session was over, and so many other things. I tried my best to ignore her, hoping she'd eventually stop, but the pranks just kept getting worse with each passing day. I had to stop her in her tracks before the whole thing could blow out of proportion, and I could only do this by playing the winning prank. I know she thought she was doing a good job with her pranks, but everyone knows that you shouldn't prank psychos, simply because you can't beat them at a game they invented. I'm not a psycho though. Wink. It was a hot Wednesday afternoon, and we just finished cheerleading practice. With an evil smile on my face, I watched Sam enter the bathroom to clean up. A few minutes later, we heard a shriek and all rushed to the bathroom to see what was wrong. The sight was even more amusing than I had initially imagined. Sam's long, beautiful hair was all gone. I mean, who still falls for the old Nair and shampoo trick in this century? Well, she did, but I pretended to be as shocked as everyone else. We both shared a look, and it was obvious that she knew I did it, but she didn't say anything. I wasn't done with her, though. I had more pranks up my sleeve. I'd put gum in her hair when she's sleeping, fill her bags with stones instead of books, and much more. The next day, Sam came to school with a wig which I accidentally removed while walking past her in class. The guys who were still unaware of Sam's baldness at this time were astounded. They started laughing and throwing spitballs on her bald head, and eventually slapping it, despite the fact that I was begging them to stop as it was enough. Sam left school immediately, crying and shaking, leaving her wig on the floor. Feeling bad, I picked up the wig and followed her, hoping to apologize, but what I saw in her house made me even more angry. Sam was always begging about her mansion and rich parents. She insulted everyone that she felt was below her and always called me poor because I came from a middle-class family. But I had followed her home for the first time, and the home that was in front of me was a trailer. I was so mad. The next day, I gave Sam a grand welcome and apologized to her, giving her back her wig and telling her to use it instead of the new one she came with, because the old one made her look prettier. Sam went to the bathroom and came back with the old wig, smiling and thanking me, but she was in for a surprise. A few minutes later, tiny ants started crawling out of the wig, filling Sam's face. She tried to remove the wig, but it was stuck on her head. It couldn't come off. She tried to run to the bathroom, but she couldn't stand up. She was glued to her seat. She started scratching her face profusely, injuring her whole face. She struggled to stand up from her seat, but ended up tearing her skirt in the process, exposing her undies. She managed to run to the bathroom without her skirt, while the whole class laughed and cheered. I just sat at my desk in the corner, silently watching the whole thing unfold. Sam was a bully. She had hurt everyone in the class one way or the other, so everyone was glad that she was finally getting a taste of her own poison. Unfortunately, an ambulance had to be called because Sam had scratched her face badly. The ants left bumps all over her face, and only doctors could carefully remove the wig from her head. I went to Sam's hospital room to gloat, but she told me to get out. I refused, and since no staff was around, no one could chase me out. I explained that I knew about her trailer house, and that if she didn't want the whole school to find out, she'd have to become my slave and do whatever I wanted. She was shocked and scared, but had no other choice than to accept. This was how Sam became my personal guinea pig. Unfortunately, she gave up after a month, making me mad. I decided to sneak to her trailer and take pictures to show the whole school, but on getting there, I noticed that Sam's mother was mentally unwell, and Sam was the one paying her bills. They noticed me perched on the window and invited me in. Sam explained that she was only mean and pretending to be rich because the school would kick her out if they knew that she was the breadwinner of the family. She was a famous YouTuber and had enough money to buy a mansion, but she couldn't because all her millions were going into giving her mother the best treatment possible. She had to lie about being rich and be mean to people because that was what was selling her brand and merchandise on YouTube. Running around being my slave stopped her from recording YouTube videos, so she was quitting the school and focusing on YouTube. I left without uttering a word, mostly because I didn't know what to say. On getting home, I decided to open up to my mother about everything and ask her what the best action to take was. My mother was angry with me at first, but she was also glad that I was remorseful, so she advised me to apologize to Sam and keep her secret. The next day, I walked up to Sam and apologized. To my utter disbelief, she rejected my apology and gave me a condition to earn her forgiveness. "What is it?" I asked, rolling my eyes.
First of all, you're going to use shaving cream on your hair so you'd have a bald, shining head, just like mine.
You're kidding, right?
You wish. And that's not even all.
There's no way I'm gonna do that. She ignored me and kept on talking.
After shaving your head, You're going to walk around the school in your undies while showcasing your bald head. This is how you can make up for my embarrassment.
I laughed in her face and left. When I got home, I told my mom about the conditions that Sam had given me, and she still encouraged me to do it. I agreed. While my mother was shaving my head, something occurred to me. Ma, what if this is still a prank that I'm falling for? What if Sam has a more embarrassing prank up her sleeve?
Well, we'll always have in mind that you tried to be the bigger person.
I walked out from Mom's car the next day with the school t-shirt, my bald head, my undies, and my school shoes. Everyone was so shocked, it looked like their eyes were about to fall off. Sam looked even more shocked. She obviously didn't think that I was actually going to go through with it. Everyone started insulting me and taking pictures, though. It was so bad that I didn't even know when I started crying. When Sam noticed this, she removed her wig and skirt and joined me. This made me feel better, and we shortly started playing and taking pictures for social media. This made a lot of other students join in the fun. It started with Grissom. He took off his trousers and left just his boxers on. He took pictures with us and posted it on Instagram with the hashtag School Underwear Day. Next thing, so many other people, boys and girls included, took off their skirts and trousers and joined in the fun. The hashtag quickly went viral. We took many pictures and videos and made one of our greatest high school memories. Because of the ruckus in school and the virality of our social media videos, which was an embarrassment to the school, we were found out. A lot of us got suspended while others had to face detention. I and Sam were among the unlucky few who were suspended. It was fine though. After all, we were the ones who set everything in motion. Sam used this free time to help me start a really successful YouTube channel. She taught me the tricks behind making interesting and viral YouTube videos, and it didn't take long for my channel to really pick up. Sam's mother recovered, and they finally got a better house to move into. Grissom confessed his love for me, and I told him I felt the same way. Sam, my new best friend, Grissom, my darling boyfriend, and I all graduated high school together and remained best friends for life. Were you ever able to get back at someone who bullied you in the past? How did this situation end up? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!
And our Student of the Week award goes to Michaela. Again, I don't understand why you can't all learn from her.
Good job, Michaela. Thanks. Apart from being the most perfect student in my class, I think I was also the best at our school. I had straight A's, perfect behavior, attendance, and everything.
You're gonna get a scholarship to Harvard someday, dear.
My dad always said, and I believed him. I was going to do great things and change the world. Keep watching to find out how I probably ended up doing the exact opposite. Although I was already in my final year of high school, I never had a boyfriend or even been on a date. I was just too preoccupied with school and being the absolute best at everything. But one day, I decided to take a break from studying to watch a rom-com, and I started feeling all warm and tingly inside. Maybe one day I'd go out to a movie with a boy, and he'd put his arm around my shoulder. Oh my gosh! What made it strange was that a few days after these odd feelings, Dominic started looking at me with a twinkle in his eyes. Was I reading into it too much? I hope, because Dominic was super awful, and if I had to pick a guy in my class, it would be Stuart. He was almost as smart as I was, and very kind and gentle. But back to Dominic and how terrible he was. You know how I had a track record for being the best student at my school? Dominic had a record too, for being the worst. He was bad. And I'm not talking about skipping a few classes bad. Here's a list of horrible things he did since middle school. In the 7th grade, he got upset with our math teacher for giving too much homework. After class was dismissed, he got a baseball bat and smashed all the windows. He was suspended for 2 weeks, and his parents were super mad that they'd have to cover the costs. But do you think he learned his lesson? No, because in 8th grade, he got mad because he wasn't chosen to play a leading character in our Christmas play. So do you know what he did? He slashed the drama teacher's tires. He didn't even make an effort to hide. He did it in front of everyone so they'd know it was him. I'm not sure why he wasn't expelled then. Our principal is a softie, I guess. You'd think that after he was given all those chances, he'd make an effort to be a little nicer. But no, Dominic became more horrible. He was so rude to teachers, and sometimes he even swore at them. And he continued to break every single rule. It's almost like that was all he came to school to do. By our final year of high school, I heard he was a part of a gang and was getting into all kinds of trouble outside of school. He'd only come to school when he felt like it. I think that by this point, the teachers and the principal were too afraid to punish him for anything he did because his gang was pretty dangerous. No one could cross him, and I guess this made him feel like the most powerful person on the planet. So can you imagine my horror when he showed up in front of my desk with a dozen roses a few days after I saw that sparkle in his eyes?
A dozen red roses for the most beautiful rose in this garden.
Thank you, Dominic. The rest of my classmates stared at us smiling, and I saw Stuart roll his eyes. It didn't stop there. Every day after that, his gifts got bigger and bigger. If I got 12 flowers today, I'd get 24 tomorrow. My room was like a garden. He started hiring a limo to pick me up after school, and he didn't even ask to come along for the ride. At lunchtime, he'd send me 3-course meals from a 5-star restaurant. It was weird eating that in front of everyone in the school cafeteria, but the food was awesome. After about 2 weeks of this royal treatment, it seems like he finally developed the guts to ask me out.
Hey, Michaela, I hope you like your presents. It's the least I can do for someone so perfect.
Yes, I like them very much. Thank you.
I was wondering, would you like to maybe go out with me this weekend?
Well, I have to study all day Saturday, but maybe I can meet you after 6.
Great, I'll have a limo pick you up. We're gonna have a great time.
So my first date ever was with the school bad boy. He wasn't bad at all when we were together, though. He rented out a whole movie theater just for us to watch a movie, and he ordered tons of snacks. Then he did that thing I'd been imagining for a long time. He put his arm around me. I totally melted. After the movie, we went for a stroll, then he took me home. It was a simple date, but I got to learn more about him. It turned out that he was actually a really kind person, a softie even. I found out that he had 2 little sisters that he loved dearly. I also found out that he loved painting. He showed me a few pictures of his art, and I thought it was so cute that he had a sensitive side. We went on several dates after that until we, yep, you guessed it, became an item. I had my first boyfriend, and I didn't just get into a relationship just to see what that would be like. The thing is, I really had started developing feelings for Dominic. I was in love. I didn't know how to stop feeling that way. Although we were in a relationship now, he continued to spoil me at school. He brought me flowers and gifts every single day, and I could see the other girls burning with envy. Stuart seemed to be a bit concerned, though.
Aren't you worried about where he gets all that money?
All that money?
Come on, genius. Those gifts are super expensive. Dominic lives in my neighborhood and his parents have average jobs. They aren't rich, yet there are working people who can't afford all those gifts.
Oh, lighten up, Stuart.
You know that he's in a gang and he's up to some shady stuff. I just want you to be safe, that's all. Please be careful.
I don't need your help. You know what? Leave me alone. You're probably just jealous because you can't afford to spoil a girl. And even if you could, you wouldn't know how to because you're just so clueless. He walked away sadly, and I went to find my boyfriend. Dominic and I hung out every day after school. Sometimes I'd go to his house, and other times he'd come to mine. I made sure my parents weren't there when he came, though, because they probably wouldn't approve of him. We'd chill and watch movies in my room, but eventually we started making out a lot, and that led to more. You can probably guess what. I knew I probably shouldn't be doing that because I had to focus on my studies, but I didn't care. Like I told you, your girl was in love. It was about 3 months later when I began to notice some changes in my body. I started throwing up every morning before breakfast, and parts of my body hurt. I also became super irritable. Like, sometimes I was so angry, I could choke a koala bear. After about 4 days of this, I began to panic. I stopped at a pharmacy on the way home from school and bought a pregnancy test. I went home, did the test, and nearly fainted. I was pregnant. What was I going to do? Dominic was such a sweet boyfriend, I was sure he'd understand, and that we'd be able to work through this together. I decided I'd tell him the next day while we were walking to my house together. Hey, Dominic, I don't exactly know how to tell you this, so I'll just show you.
What is it?
I handed him the positive pregnancy test.
What is this? Some kind of prank?
No, Dominic. I'm pregnant. We're going to have a baby.
It can't be mine.
What? You're the only boyfriend I've ever had. The only one I've ever been with. How could you say this?
Girl, stop lying. I don't want anything to do with you or that kid.
He handed me the test back, turned around and walked the other way. He left me standing there all alone and I totally broke down. I felt so lost and alone. How would I achieve any of my dreams as a pregnant teenager? I went home and cried until my parents got home. They found me on the sofa with red eyes.
Dear, what's wrong?
Mom, I'm so sorry.
What are you sorry about, darling?
I'm pregnant.
What? How?
I have a boyfriend. Well, had. His name is Dominic.
Well, you might as well pack up your things and go stay with him. We didn't raise you like this. You're a disgrace, an embarrassment. Get out of our house.
My mom nodded in agreement. First my boyfriend turned against me, now my parents. I went to my room, packed a bag, and went to sit on the front steps.
I said to go find that boy. He did this to you, and now he's going to have to deal with all the trouble.
Dad, he broke up with me. He doesn't want anything to do with me or the baby.
Well, you should have thought about that before doing whatever you did to get there.
I didn't know what to do, so I just walked around the block for a while. Then I decided to walk over to Dominic's house to talk to his parents to see if they'd take me in. Of course, I was crying the whole time. On the way, I saw Stuart. He was riding his bike. He stopped next to me.
Hey, Michaela, what's wrong?
You won't understand.
Come on, talk to me.
I told him everything. He got off his bike and gave me a hug.
Don't go to Dominic's house. His parents are jerks too. Come home with me. We have extra room and my parents would love to have you.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Come with me.
It felt super awkward asking Stuart's parents if they'd take me in. A pregnant teenage girl with no parents and no boyfriend. But amazing people do exist in the world, and they were the best. Stuart's mom explained to me that a similar thing had happened to her when she was younger, and that I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Sometimes these things happen, and we just have to try our best to continue living happily. Having a baby didn't mean that the world ended. I felt really comfortable there. They gave me a beautiful bedroom, and Stuart's mom always cooked nutritious meals for me and the baby. Eventually, I stopped going to school because I started to show, and I didn't really want the attention. Dominic had completely ghosted me, but I didn't care anymore because Stuart had sort of taken his place. When I was about 7 months along, he told me he wouldn't mind being the father figure in the child's life. Then, on a beautiful sunny day in May, I had an adorable baby girl. She was so precious and perfect. I decided to name her Jewel. A few months after, I had my final high school exams, and can you imagine that I was able to do it all? I achieved near perfect scores, and Stuart's parents were so impressed that they insisted that I go to college. I was thinking about getting a job at a supermarket and renting a small apartment to take care of Jewel and me, but they said that Stuart and I were going to go to college and that they'd cover all the expenses. In addition to that, they offered to take care of Jewel while I was gone. Did I hit the jackpot or what? Stuart and I were off to college a few months later, and while it tore me apart to be away from my baby, I knew that this was the best decision for us. I knew that Stuart had feelings for me though, and he always expressed them in little ways, but I just wasn't attracted to him at all anymore. I know it seems ridiculous, but I always ended up dating guys who were similar to Dominic. They were bad boys, but they made my heart melt. Right now, I'm dating a guy called Carlos. I met him at a club one Friday night, and I instantly fell in love. He's the leader of a gang, and he's involved in lots of dangerous, unspeakable things. But he treats me like a queen, and that's all that matters. When I finish my degree, I'm going to move in with him, and I will send for Jewel too. He will be her new daddy, and I'm pretty certain that we'll live a perfect life together. I'm happy that things are finally working out for me, and I look forward to the future.
Introducing Sam and Dean, famous TikTok stars that have managed to amass a growing following of 30 million fans. Today, they're going to be joining us and telling us how they're able to climb the TikTok ladder of success. A round of applause, please, as they climb up to the stage.
The loud MC stood up and started clapping. The whole crowd did the same as the arrogant twins bounced onto the stage, refusing to shake raving fans like they were above them and walking to the stage majestically like the whole world was their oyster. I rolled my eyes, irritated.
Change that channel immediately.
My mom commanded. Mom, I'm watching it. Dad came to her rescue.
Didn't you hear your mom? Switch out the television. I can't believe you're watching an interview about boys who got famous through devilish means. Change it to a Christian channel and watch something uplifting.
I reluctantly changed the channel.
You know what? You've had enough screen time for the day. Go to your room and study or pray.
Dad, I've watched TV for less than 10 minutes. He gave me a warning look. Mom. I looked to my mom for help, but she quickly turned away, pretending to be clueless. I retreated to my room, defeated. My parents believed social media was of the devil, so I was only allowed to use a phone that could make and receive calls, text messages, and emails. I was allowed to watch TV once in a blue moon, and even then, my parents always found a way to ruin it. They believed in being the perfect family, and they were sure that exposing me to the outside world would ruin my perfection. And boy, was I perfect. I was the most popular, handsome, and smartest guy in school. But funny enough, I wasn't allowed to date. My parents always made sure that my teeth were sparkling, my clothes and hair were in order, and I was smelling glorious before I was ever allowed to step out of the house. I exercised frequently and was one of the leaders in my football club. I ate healthily, studied, made good grades, and was also active in church. I was perfect. At least that's what everyone said. I obeyed all my parents' instructions to the T, but that was never enough for them. They kept coming up with new ones. What my parents didn't know, though, was that I had a huge secret. A secret that almost everyone in the city knew. I had been keeping it for months, and I planned to keep it till I left their house and gained my freedom. Like and subscribe to find out my secret. I tried to study, but I wasn't in the mood, so I wasn't understanding anything. I closed my textbook. I left my room and peeked around the house. Seeing that my parents had successfully gone to bed, I retreated to my secret hideout. It's my room, duh, what were you thinking? I locked my door, wore my special Mr. Anonymous outfit, switched off the lights, walked into my closet, brought out my secret iPhone, which I had gotten for myself by saving up my monthly allowance and getting paid to do people's homework, set up my tripod and ring light, opened the TikTok app, and clicked the record button. It was a Monday and the beginning of a new week. I smiled and walked gracefully through the school hallway, nodding my head as everyone admired my beautiful face and body like they usually did. I was in high spirits, not because of the constant admiration by my schoolmates, but because of my secret TikTok account that had just hit the 50 million follower mark, higher than the arrogant twins that had been interviewed yesterday. Of course, I had to stay anonymous because of my parents, so this stopped me from accepting interviews from journalists. Nobody could know who I was. As I searched for the books I needed for the day in my locker, I heard everyone oohing, eyeing, and screaming. The only person that ever made the crowd go this wild was me, and I'd passed the hallway already. I was really curious, but decided not to turn. Turning would only make whoever it was feel like I was also admiring them. As I pretended to seriously look for something in my locker, I felt the presence of two guys behind me. I'd never been bullied in my life, and I was always ready to assert my dominance, so I turned around swiftly, ready to beat the sense out of whoever was trying to bully me. To my surprise and horror, it was Sam and Dean, the famous TikTok twins that were on the interview last night. They looked stunning, especially Dean. I had to pretend that I didn't know them. They looked pompous enough already.
Good day, Keen,
Sam said in an alpha voice, trying to intimidate me. He looked at me with a knowing look, expecting me to fall over and start screaming, "Oh my God, it's Sam and Dean!" with my hand on my head and my eyes rolled upwards. I didn't give him the pleasure. "And who might you be?" I asked. I could literally see Sam's smile turn upside down, and Dean started laughing.
I'm Dean, and he's Sam. We're new students, and we're in your... You don't know who we are?
Sam butted in.
That's disappointing. Do you live under a rock? Ignore my brother. We're in your class. We'd like you to hang out with us during lunch and tell us a bit about the school. We could also become friends. You seem like the coolest person available.
Yeah, I'll pass. I picked up my books and walked off. Dean smiled at me, but Sam shot me a murderous look as I walked away. During lunch, I was eating and talking with my friends when Sam and Dean arrived. They told my friends to scoot over so they could sit close to me. My friends happily shifted, honored that the famous twins were sitting close to them. I was so annoyed. I picked up my food tray and left for another table, but the twins followed me there, followed by my friends. God, why won't these people give up? Can I know why you guys are stalking me? Sam shot me an evil look while munching on his bread angrily.
We're having a party at our place tonight. A lot of famous Hollywood celebrities will be there, and we want you to come.
I cleared my tray of food and replied, I don't go to parties. Then I went back to class. It took a few days for Sam to give up, but Dean didn't. He kept following me everywhere until I gave up and started paying attention to him. Once I gave myself a chance to get to know Dean, I realized that although he was really proud, he was also kind, funny, and interesting. He wasn't actually the evil TikTok star that I made him out to be. I was simply unconsciously jealous of him and his brother because our fans always compared our TikTok accounts, wondering who was better than the other. They ignored the fact that I had almost double the size of followers they had and compared me to such riffraffs. I felt they were riffraffs because all they did was follow trends, play pranks on their family members, and show off their handsome faces, while I talked about important pressing world issues like BLM, global warming, climate change, politics, and LGBTQ. Things that my parents never let me talk or have an opinion about since it was none of our business. Somehow, Dean and I became friends. "Do you want to come over for dinner?" I asked Dean on the phone one day.
Absolutely. Do you think your parents will be okay with that?
I don't know, I'll ask them. I walked to my parents' room after ending the call. "Mom, Dad, Dean is coming over tonight." I expected them to object since they object to everything. This was why I made it a statement and not a question. But I was surprised when my mom replied,
Of course, we'd love to spend some time with Dean. We wanted to tell you to invite him over for dinner, but I'm glad you beat us to it.
"Huh? How do you know about him?"
We know everything about you, my boy. The only reason we've let you hang out with Dean in school this long is because he's also an intelligent kid. Now, go get ready and wear a cool outfit. We have to make a good first impression.
I rolled my eyes as I walked away. Stalkers. When Dean came, my parents didn't allow him to sit down before they started bothering him with questions about everything.
How'd you meet Keen?
How did you guys become friends?
Who are your parents?
What's your highest grade?
What's your lowest grade?
What do you think about the most recent election?
"Mom, Dad, can we start eating now?" My parents said the prayers, but didn't stop asking Dean questions, even while he was eating. Dean answered everything perfectly well.
Well, we don't like the fact that you're involved in this devilish social media, but almost all kids are nowadays. So we'd let you keep hanging out with our boy as long as you promise not to influence him badly.
Dean smiled.
I promise, ma'am.
Dean and I became best friends. We were inseparable. A day didn't pass without Dean coming to my house, me going to his house, or us talking on the phone. I didn't have a great relationship with his brother Sam, but we tolerated each other. No matter how close I and Dean got, though, I never let it slip that I was Mr. Anonymous on TikTok. It was my best kept secret. One day, there was a BLM protest on the street, and it was being shown on live TV. I shared my displeasure concerning the whole situation, and my parents shocked me.
We're not black, and we can never be black or have black children. We're also all straight in this family, so we need to all mind our own business.
Exactly.
What? How can you guys say that? I stormed into my room, but my parents followed me.
Young man, did you just walk out on us? What is this new behavior?
It seems like that Dean boy is influencing you badly. I want you to end your friendship with him immediately.
I rolled in my bed and shed tears, but I immediately sent a text message telling Dean that we couldn't be friends anymore, subsequently blocking him. Dean tried to get an explanation in school, but I avoided him and became cold towards him again. He eventually gave up and left me alone. One evening, I heard Sam and Dean fighting outside our house when we were about to have dinner. Before I could do anything, my parents invited them in and asked them to join us for dinner. Alarmed, I ran downstairs and got to the dining section, only to see Sam giving me a menacing smile and Dean looking sad, apologetic, and full of shame. I turned to my parents, and to my horror, they were watching my TikTok videos. I could feel the earth shake below my feet.
Sit down, Keen.
My mom told me. I found a seat and joined them at the table.
Is this true? Are you this Mr. Anonymous on TikTok?
I could feel pee dropping on my pants. Yes, I stammered. My parents burst into tears and hugged each other.
Social media isn't that bad after all.
Just by watching a handful of your videos, we have a different view of the world and people in it already. We're proud of you, my boy. We're glad that you've made something good out of this devilish place.
My parents pulled me in for a hug. Disappointed with this result, Sam stormed off.
Let's have dinner,
my dad said as he started praying. I'm not hungry. I ran to my room and Dean chased after me, but I was able to bang the door in his face and lock it before he could run in too.
Ow! You broke my nose, Keen!
Serves you right.
It's bleeding!
Then you need to go to the hospital.
You're really not going to help me?
I rolled my eyes. Fine. I opened the door and Dean immediately sprung in, colliding with me and landing right on top of me. I tried to free myself, but he overpowered me. I looked at his nose and it was perfectly fine. Get off me, you're a liar and backstabber.
Chill, dude, I can explain.
Seeing that his hold on me was too tight, I gave up. Fine, explain. Dean explained that he was watching a Mr. Anonymous TikTok when he recognized both my closet and my watch. He exclaimed out of shock, and unfortunately his brother, Sam, came into his room at that exact moment. Once Sam realized the truth, he ran with Dean's phone to my house, but Dean tried to stop him, and that was why they were fighting outside my house.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I've missed you.
I've missed you too. It's fine, I forgive you. Dean brought his face close to mine and kissed me. I realized how much I'd missed him, and I returned his kiss. Unknown to us, my door was still wide open, and my parents were standing right outside. My mom screamed,
Pack your things immediately and leave my house. You are no longer my son.
Tired of pretending to be someone I wasn't, I packed my things and moved into Dean's house where his parents happily accepted me. I got to know Sam better, and he wasn't even as evil as I imagined, just a jealous maniac. Sam, Dean, and I recorded a few TikToks together and posted on our separate accounts. The videos went viral and gave us more followers. It took a month, but my parents finally came back begging and asking for forgiveness. I forgave them and moved back home. 1 month later, I set up my iPhone, tripod, and ring light in my parents' study. Dean and my parents gathered around. I clicked the record button and we all put a smile on our faces. Hello everyone, I said for the first time without my Mr. Anonymous mask. I am Mr. Anonymous. My name is Keen. This is Dean, my boyfriend, and these are my parents. My parents finally accepted me for who I was, and my life took a turn for the better. Have you ever experienced something like this? Share it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and watch another video on our channel. Just like most college students, I struggled the first year as I tried to balance schoolwork and football. In high school, being the best athlete at school came naturally to me, but in college, I needed to prove myself to everyone. I worked my butt off, and in my second year, Coach named me the team captain. Some guys like Nick, who were 1 year older than I was, didn't like the idea that someone younger than them was the team captain. They thought they deserved the spot because they were there longer. Needless to say, he made my life a living hell for the first month until Coach said he would forfeit every game this season if we didn't work together. Oh, and one small detail I forgot to mention, I started dating Nick's ex, Melissa, who was a cheerleader. Before I continue, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap that notification bell. In my defense, I didn't know that she was his ex until about 2 weeks after we started dating. As soon as I found out, I ended the relationship. I told her that Nick and I already didn't get along and dating her would make things harder for the team. I wanted to play professional football and I wasn't about to let anyone, not even a pretty girl, get in the way of that. Melissa wasn't too happy about that and we never really spoke again after that. Months passed by and Nick and I buried the hatchet. It felt good not having to look over my shoulder. One evening after we won a game, the team and I went by Kellyanne, one of the cheerleaders' homes, for a celebration party. While dancing, someone tapped me on my shoulder. I spun around to see Nick.
Sorry to cramp your style, but I need a huge favor. My car won't start and the other guys are too buzzed to drop me off. Can I get a lift to college? I forgot my gym locker.
Sure, man, no problem. I turned to Lena, the pretty girl I was dancing with. Save a dance for me when I return? She smiled and nodded. Nick laughed as he locked my neck playfully and tousled my hair.
Come on, lover boy.
Nick and I left the party, and a few minutes later, we arrived at the college campus.
I'll get a ride back with someone.
I nodded and drove off. I woke up the next afternoon with numerous missed calls and text messages from other guys on the team asking if I knew where Nick was. Nobody saw him after he jumped into my car. I told them that I dropped Nick off on campus and went back to the party. I tried calling Nick, but his phone went straight to voicemail. My stomach churned and I felt sick. I rolled out of bed slowly and went in search of my parents. I found them in the kitchen having coffee.
Finally out of bed. I guess that was some party.
Mom smiled at me. Her smile was quickly removed when she saw my face and her expression turned to one of grave concern.
Kai, is everything okay?
I sat with my parents and told them everything. And now Nick isn't answering his phone. The last thing I remember was returning to Kellyanne's party.
Don't worry, he's probably at some girl's house sleeping off whatever he had at the party. Everything will be okay.
Dad squeezed my shoulder comfortingly. But boy, was Dad wrong. Monday afternoon, when my teammates and I entered the locker room before practice, we noticed that something smelled weird.
What is that smell?
Denny asked as his face turned up in disgust. We followed the smell to Nick's locker. We looked as fear and nervousness appeared in each person's eyes. Coach Dellison opened the locker and Nick's body fell out. A gasp echoed throughout the locker room. Coach Dellison immediately called the police. I guess news traveled fast about Nick because before I knew what was happening, Melissa was crying her eyes out over him. She stood up angrily and charged at me. Her finger tapped my chest with every word she spewed.
I thought you were joking, Kai. How could you?
What are you talking about? I backed away.
The night of the party, you told me you should have ended Nick when you had the chance.
What? Bella pulled her phone from the pocket of her cheerleading uniform and played a video of me saying, I should have ended Nick when I had the chance. Police sirens wailed outside. Parents were called, and soon every member of the team was questioned about their whereabouts on the night of the party. Coach suspended me from the team, and the police told us not to leave the country. By the next day, photos of me were plastered in every newspaper, printed and online. Star athlete, main suspect in murder. With all the bad publicity, my chances of playing professional football were flushed down the toilet. My parents insisted that I stay home until investigations were completed. My parents and I were trapped in our house since reporters were camped outside. The next day, there was a knock on the kitchen door.
Don't open it.
Mom shouted.
I'm sick and tired of those reporters.
We tried to ignore the knocking, but it persisted. Eventually, Dad yanked open the door with a baseball bat in hand, ready to charge at the person on the other side.
It's me,
the woman whispered. Mom and Dad and I shared looks. There were two people, a man and a woman, standing by the door, both of whom we had never seen before. Luggage at their feet as they tried to push the reporters back.
Are you going to let your only daughter in or not?
Mom yanked both people inside and slammed the door. She hugged the woman.
Tammy, you're home!
Tammy was my older sister who studied at a makeup effects school where she learned how to do prosthetic facial masks. As soon as Mom released Tammy, she and her boyfriend, Lucas, removed the prosthetics from their faces.
We knew that the reporters would have recognized us, so I made us some disguises.
Tammy sighed. She walked over to me and squeezed my hand.
How are you holding up?
I guess as good as I can under the circumstances. I rubbed the back of my neck.
Don't worry. Lucas and I are here to help. We will get through this.
She hugged me tightly.
Let's go up to your room. We have a plan.
Once upstairs, Tammy told me that she created foam latex prosthetic masks for all of us to go undercover. How are we going to leave the house? I asked.
Simple.
She smiled slyly.
We'll use the basement window. It's hidden from sight behind the bushes.
I raised an eyebrow and Tammy laughed.
You really think I was stuck in my room all those years studying?
She winked at me. My mission was to go to one of the weekend parties, find Melissa, and see what she knew about Nick's murder. I used Lucas's clothing and his Porsche, which was parked in a paid parking lot 2 blocks from home. I snuck out of the house through the basement window and easily avoided the reporters. At the party, I quickly scanned the crowd for Melissa. When I found her, I didn't go to her. It wasn't long before she approached me. We chatted for a few minutes and she gave me her number. I told her that I needed to leave and I made sure she walked me out to the Porsche. I smiled and I told her that I would give her a call and drove off.
So, how did it go?
Tammy asked excitedly as she burst into my room as soon as I got home. She fell for it. She didn't realize it was me and she gave me her number.
Great. Let her squirm a bit. Give her a call in 3 days.
As much as I wanted to call Melissa and get this over and done with, I knew Tammy was right. On the 3rd day, I gave her a call from Tammy's phone and asked her to dinner. I took her to one of the finest restaurants in town. She took pictures of everything and posted it on her Insta story. After dinner, I took her to the Lady Young Road Lookout. Did you enjoy dinner? I smiled at her.
It was great. I can't wait to boast to Kelly Ann. Denny never takes her anywhere.
I heard someone mention Kai while at the party. Is he your boyfriend?
He's an ex and a murderer.
Melissa stiffened and turned up her nose. So should I be worried about him? I chuckled. I took Melissa's hand and gently caressed it with my thumb.
No, he's harmless and a chump.
So do you think he did it?
Of course not.
She threw her hand over her mouth.
Dad is going to kill me. Our family lawyer advised me not to speak to anyone about what happened. Please don't tell anyone.
I won't. I changed the subject, but not before Melissa told me that she was at the college the night Nick died. After 30 minutes, I dropped Melissa home and returned home. I told Tammy and Lucas what Melissa told me.
That means she knows more than she's telling Lucas. It's time to implement phase 2.
Lucas smiled. He got his laptop and I watched his hands quickly type over the keys. After about 15 minutes, he handed the laptop over to Tammy and I looked over her shoulder. Lucas created an article stating that Melissa knew who the killer was and she was there at the college the night Nick died. It also stated that she knew Kai Morris was innocent. By the next day, the reporters were camped out by Melissa's house and my family and I breathed a sigh of relief. In a brief news announcement, Mr. Brown, Melissa's father, told the reporters that they had nothing to hide and if they wanted any information on Nick's death, they would have to contact their lawyer. Mr. Brown then slammed the door in the reporter's face.
Okay, now it's my turn to go undercover.
Tammy said as she pulled out her mask. Over the next few days, Tammy infiltrated Melissa's circle by disguising herself as another student. Kellyanne told Tammy that Melissa was seeing someone else from the team, but she was hush-hush about it, and that's why she was at the college the night of the party. As soon as Tammy relayed that information to Lucas and I, Lucas wrote another article stating that Melissa was dating someone else from the team, and maybe she and her secret lover murdered Nick, or at least knew who did it.
Now that enough heat is on Melissa on the team, it's time for the final phase.
Lucas smiled as he pulled out her mask. Lucas arrived at the college the next day and watched as the team practiced for the big championship game. After the game, he walked into the locker room and introduced himself as a reporter to Coach. Lucas told the coach that he wanted to do a story on the team that would highlight how great the team is and remove some of the stigma with what's going on. Before Lucas started his questioning, Coach gathered the team together. After asking the usual questions like how the season was and the strategies used by the team to win games, Lucas changed the direction of the conversation.
So,
Lucas said as he looked around the room,
I wasn't going to say this, but I know that you guys want justice for Nick. Before coming here today, I did an exclusive report with Melissa Brown. I believe you guys know her since most of you dated her. Kai Morris is no longer a suspect in the eyes of the police.
The team cheered as Lucas continued.
I will be putting a story from Melissa in tomorrow's paper. I just wanted to thank you for your time.
Coach and the team thanked Lucas as they shook his hand. As he walked to his car, Lucas said,
Did you guys get all that?
Yes, we did. Loud and clear.
Tammy said through her headpiece. Tammy and I were parked down the street from the college. Lucas had a microphone and a camera on the pen that was in his pocket.
Okay, I'm heading home.
Lucas' microphone went dead.
Lucas! Lucas!
Tammy's voice was filled with fear. I started the engine and sped into the college's parking lot. Much to Tammy's and my surprise, there were 2 police officers taking Coach Dellison away, and another was talking with Lucas, who was standing next to someone they didn't know. Tammy and I ran towards them. Tammy threw her arms around Lucas.
What happened?
While I was walking to the car, Coach Dellison hit me with a bat and knocked me to the ground. If it wasn't for Jake here, I'm not sure I would have been here to tell the tale. He's a reporter.
Tammy and I looked at Jake, who extended his hand to us, and we shook it. Jake told Tammy and I that he was sitting in his car when he saw me leave the house through the basement window. Then, when all the reporters left to go to Melissa's, he decided to stay and keep tabs on us.
I knew something was going to go down today, so I convinced a few of my friends from the force to come with me. I'm grateful that you did,
Lucas said.
I got everything on tape.
Jake patted his camera. But why did Coach hit you? What was his role in all of this?
Get this!
Lucas' eyes lit up.
Coach Dellison was the mystery teammate that Melissa was dating.
Ew!
Tammy gagged.
How desperate is she? Isn't he like 50?
But how did Nick end up in the locker? I asked, confused.
Well,
Lucas said,
Nick caught Dellison and Melissa making out and Nick threatened to tell. Coach hit Nick, who then fell back, hit his head and never woke up. They just shoved him into the locker and left. He confessed everything.
I thanked Tammy, Lucas, and Jake for helping me clear my name. Melissa and Coach Dellison were charged with manslaughter and each got 10 years in prison. As for me, I dropped out of physical college and finished my degree online. I decided that I didn't want to play professional football anymore. Who I was as a college athlete made my story spread like wildfire. And if that was a glimpse of what was to come in my professional career, I didn't want it. After college, I moved away and brought my parents to visit me from time to time. I never went back to my hometown since, in my opinion, some things are better left in the past.
Everyone murmured and stared at me. Teachers shook their heads and I could hear people whispering,
Oh my God!
Why wasn't anyone listening to me?
Please follow me, Miss Annie.
Mr. Ali, our maths teacher, said while grabbing me by the arm and forcefully ushering me out of the exhibition hall. We were escorted by a few other teachers to the principal's office before they all stopped, leaving me with our very angry principal. She slowly stared me down, starting from my forehead to my toenails. I couldn't keep up the staring match, so I stared at my arm and rubbed it. Mr. Ali had held me so tightly that he left a red mark of his fingers on my arm. It hurt badly.
Miss Annie, I have no words.
She sighed. Tears welled in my eyes. All I wanted was to be very pretty. Now this?
You have been expelled from the school with immediate effect. Please pack your personal items, leave, and never come back.
She handed me a letter and said,
Give this to your parents as an explanation. You can leave now.
I collected the letter and raced to my class. Thank goodness it's empty, I sighed. I picked up all of my personal effects and left the school angrily. Silly people, I thought. They have absolutely no idea what they've just lost. I decided to spend some time at the park before going home since my parents wouldn't be back home anyway. I bought myself an ice cream cone and sat down on the swing to think and cry. I recalled the whole embarrassment and I couldn't believe that such a thing had actually happened to me. I remembered being escorted to the principal's office by Mr. Ali, who used to like me very much. But now he held my arm like I was the worst person to have ever existed on earth. I thought the principal loved me too, but she gave me that letter so quickly. I didn't even see her type or print it. Did they have draft samples of expulsion letters? Even if they did, all she had to do was put in my name or my parents' name. I didn't see her write anything. I didn't even see her seal up any letter either. Something was definitely wrong, but I didn't have the time to think about it now. I had to be home before my parents, so I'd be the first person to break the news to them. How do you tell your parents that you got kicked out of school just because you were too pretty? Hi, my name is Annie, but it used to be Anna. I changed my name to Annie because of the bad memories that the name Anna was associated with. I'd like to know what you think, though. Which name do you prefer and why? Anna or Annie? Once I tell you my story, you'll understand why I chose to slightly alter my given name, and I'm sure you'll respect my decision. Before we proceed, hurry now and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on post notifications so you'll always be in the know. It started with my former high school, Old Trafford High. I was known as the class loser because I didn't look like other girls. I was a little bit on the plump side, and my parents made me wear these funny-looking rainbow-colored braces. My classmates gave me a nickname, Anna the Rainbow, and they always used to make fun of me.
Oh, look! It's Anna, the rainbow, coming at you!
Someone would scream whenever I entered the class, and everyone would burst into laughter. The teachers never tried to stop them from bullying me. Instead, they found it entertaining and often joined the students to laugh. I was bullied and insulted. I was forced to do so many people's homework, to carry books for popular girls while walking behind them, to clean used gum from under people's desks with my so-called rainbow-colored teeth, and so many more irritating things that you can't even imagine. On one particular occasion, the most popular guy in school brought me to the front of the class, gave me a brush, and told me to show the class how I brushed my rainbow-colored teeth. He assured me that the brush was clean and they just wanted to know if I did it differently. I said I didn't, but the whole class insisted I prove it to them. And so I had to. I was so scared and shaky, but I put the brush in my mouth and started brushing. After doing it a few minutes, everyone started cheering and laughing. They chanted,
Anna the Rainbow uses a dirty toilet brush to brush her teeth. She's so irritating. Ew!
I couldn't believe it. My classmates had given me a dirty toilet brush and allowed me to put it in my mouth. A teacher was in class while all of this happened, and he didn't even bother doing anything. I threw the brush away, rinsed my mouth with soap and water, cried a little, and then went back to my seat. What else could I do? Nobody cared about me. When I got home, my parents saw my red, swollen face and asked me what happened. I told them.
I have good news, Anna.
My dad started.
I have been promoted. We're moving out of this town to a better place. We're getting a bigger house and 2 cars. And you know what the best news is?
He asked. What is it? I screamed. I couldn't believe my ears. This was the best news that I had ever heard in my entire short life.
We can finally afford to get you invisible braces. No more weird rainbow metal clunky stuff on your beautiful teeth.
I was so happy that I started shedding tears.
It's okay, Anne.
My mom said, inching closer.
I know how you feel. I know what you've been experiencing in school, and we're sorry about that. We're sorry we couldn't do better for you, and we're grateful that we've all been given the chance to start over once more. This time, we need to all try to do better and be better.
I couldn't say anything. I just kept crying. As we arrived at our new city, I ditched everything that had to do with who I used to be. My clothes, shoes, gadgets, the annoying rainbow braces, and even my name. I wasn't going to be Anna the Rainbow anymore. I had become Annie the Queen, a leader in her own right. While my parents searched for the best and closest high school they could find me, I used all the free time I had to learn makeup and hair setting. I changed my diet and became very consistent with exercise. As a result of this, I lost a lot of weight and started looking better. I was determined to be the new high school queen in my new school. I wanted to show them a different way of doing things. When I stepped into the hallway on my first day of school, everyone stopped and stared at me as I graciously glided through the hallway. I gave them a smile and a nod, affirming all of their thoughts and beliefs. A group of 3 girls stopped me and looked at me menacingly.
And who do you think you are?
They asked with folded hands. I took off my sunglasses for just a few minutes so I could get a good view of who was talking. I had never seen so much pink in one place in my entire life. As I put my sunglasses back on, I grabbed a cotton candy stick from one of their hands, took a huge bite from it, and gave it back to them. "Your new queen," I replied as I walked away. Their eyes were so wide that I almost burst into laughter there and then. Stupid bullies, I thought. The next few months were a breeze. Everyone loved me, from teachers to students to support staff, janitors, nurses, everyone. I had achieved my dream, no more bullying and no more rainbow braces. I decided to study more because I wanted to make my parents proud. I also decided to be nice to everyone. I didn't want to become just like the bullies I hated so much. I read day and night, and my hard work paid off because I scored all A's in my classes. What I didn't know that while I was trying everything I could to become the best version of myself and give people the best experience of their inner selves, a group of 3 girls were hating on me in the background. They called themselves the Pretty Clique, known for bullying and extortion, and they were the queens of the school before my arrival. On the day of our science exhibition fair, I was trembling like crazy. I'd worked so hard to prepare, and the day had finally come. I couldn't wait to show the inspectors my creation because I knew it was the project that would get the golden trophy. The inspectors approached me and told me to proceed with my show. As I was about to speak, the principal rushed into the hall with some security guards, and everything went to a standstill. The guards started searching everyone's school bags, and I just stood there bored and angry because they were delaying me. The next thing I knew, I had been accused of stealing wads of cash from the principal's office. Everyone was looking at me with surprise plastered on their faces. I was screaming, and nobody was hearing me. Mr. Lee was escorting me out of the hall. I was in the principal's office, and I got expelled. I didn't even understand what had happened, but in less than 10 minutes, my whole life had been destroyed. My parents were very angry when I got home. After telling me how disappointed they were in me, they told me that they couldn't let me go out and embarrass them again, so I'd be homeschooled from now on. I was also grounded for 6 months. I cried as I went back to my room. I never thought someone's life could drastically change in just a few minutes. A few weeks into my homeschooling life, I got an email with the subject,
Hello, thief.
It read,
I hope you enjoy being homeschooled, you freaking thief. That's what you get for messing with us. Yours sincerely, the Pretty Clique. P.S. Don't bother showing this to anyone because they won't believe you.
I showed this to my parents and they finally believed me. My punishment was lifted. I had to find a way to get these girls to confess on camera. After pondering it over, I decided to set up a Mean Girls competition where students could enroll anonymously and say all the mean things they'd ever done. The person who had done the worst things would get $1,000. It was an anonymous competition, so nobody would see the names or faces of the girls applying. What nobody knew was that there was a special plan crafted by yours truly to get the pretty clique to confess. I set up a secret system to record their faces and voices while they confessed their various crimes. My plan worked, and the pretty clique confessed to every mean thing they'd ever done and to whom they'd done to, including stealing money from the principal's office and hiding it in my school bag. They had no idea they were being recorded. What I didn't expect, though, was for the principal to be a part of the mess. Apparently, the principal of the school had been using the pretty clique to extort money from the students and giving them a tiny cut. So when they approached her with a plan to get rid of me, she didn't hesitate. They planned the whole thing together. After gaining this new knowledge, I stormed the school during a non-school day. I was well aware that the board of directors were holding a meeting on that day, and that was the exact reason I came. I planned with the video guy, and we quickly switched the boring video that they were watching off and replaced it with the recording of the pretty clique's confessions. We also locked the doors so no one could leave until the video came to an end. Everyone was shocked, and the principal was immediately dismissed from the school and arrested. The pretty clique later came to my house to apologize to me.
Hey, Annie,
the lead girl said.
We're sorry about everything we did to you. We didn't really mean to get you expelled, but you see...
She stopped and scratched her neck. The second girl looked at her and rolled her eyes.
You see, the thing is,
she continued more boldly,
we didn't have a choice. We had to stay in power so we could keep collecting money from the students and sending it to the principal. The principal threatened us, saying that she would kick us out of school if we didn't find a way to get our power back.
You could have just reported her to the board, you know. But it's fine. I forgive you. I smiled at them. So here's the sitch. The third one, who was always chewing gum, finally spoke. This is embarrassing, but we want you to lead us. She quickly turned away. I laughed out loud. Of course I will.
You will?
The first girl asked. Absolutely, but first of all, we will no longer be called the pretty clique. No more pink. I hate that color. Wear whatever you feel like wearing to school as long as you look cute and decent. You must all tell me your real names, and finally... I paused and gave them a mischievous smile. Finally what? The gum girl asked, nervous. Let's go take pictures in the principal's office. And with that, we ran off. I taught my 3 new friends how to be nice to everyone and still get them to respect you, how to have fun without getting in trouble, and how to be genuine friends to each other. I was admitted back in school and continued being the most popular girl because of my kindness and smartness. I became a role model for every student. Like this video and subscribe to our channel if this is a good story. Make sure you watch another video on our channel after this, and before you go, tell us who you think was the worst person in this story. Is it the former principal of my new school, the pretty clique, Mr. Ali, or everyone at my former school? Bye!
What does it really mean to be popular? If you aren't, it's probably something you've wondered about. Maybe you imagined how thrilling it would be to be liked or admired by everyone. What a perfect life, huh? Wrong. It's exhausting. Before I continue my wild story, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss out on any other great stories like mine. Hi, my name is Carmen, and for a very long time, I knew what it was like to be important and well-known. I came from a very wealthy family. I was 16 years old, and I had one older brother. His name was Jacob, and we looked nothing alike. Because he had already moved to college, I was the only child left at home. I think this was why my parents let me do anything I wanted. I was their precious little girl. I was best known for hosting the most extravagant parties. Everyone knew about me. At school, everyone wanted to be invited to my house on the weekend. At first, my parties were just ordinary, but after a while, I decided to have themed parties to make them more exciting. My parents let me have at least $1,000 to buy whatever I needed. Drinks, decorations, entertainment, anything. It was great being rich. I had a whole Instagram account with thousands of followers just for my parties, and even people who weren't from my school would come. Apart from my very active social life, I had some pretty amazing friends. My best friend was Mia. She lived across the street in another mansion, and she always helped me plan my parties. I forgot to mention that I had the world's perfect boyfriend. Chris was tall, handsome, and a quarterback on the football team. Your typical hunk. I guess you could say he was like the male version of me because he was just as popular and rich. He always got me the best gifts and treated me like a total princess. Anyway, everything was fine until it wasn't. My life began to spin out of control and there was nothing I could do to stop it. It started while I was having lunch with Mia and some of my other friends at school.
Do you know that Camilla is having a huge party next Saturday? She says it's for her birthday, but that's the same day of your Hawaiian pool party,
said Melanie.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, maybe you can just push the party back a bit. It's no big deal.
Mia. Of course that would have been the reasonable thing to do, but I was angry. So angry. Camilla had been my biggest rival since kindergarten. Although I was more popular, she was always trying to compete with me. She copied my clothes, shoes, bags, and now she was trying to steal my parties. Jealous trash. No, I'm going to make mine bigger and even better than Camilla's. I don't care if it's her birthday, I replied while my friends just stared in silence. I got to work that night and started advertising my Hawaiian pool party. I asked my parents for $2,000 extra and told everyone that 2 lucky people would win the latest iPhone. I did everything I could to ensure that people came to my party instead of Camilla's. When Saturday finally came, I was beyond myself with excitement. The decorators came early and made my pool area look just like a beach. I had palm trees, beach balls, real sand, everything. We even added salt to the pool to make it taste like seawater. My party was supposed to start at 3 o'clock, and by 2:30, people were already arriving. When there was at least 100 people there, I said to Mia, "Hey, let's take a short drive to Camilla's house to see if anyone went to her party."
Okay.
Mia sighed while rolling her eyes. We drove over there and only 3 cars were parked in the driveway. "Ha! What a flop!" I laughed. We went back to my party and continued enjoying ourselves, but around 6 o'clock, I noticed that many people were leaving. "What's going on? Where's everyone going?" I asked.
Well, look. Camilla went live on Instagram and, well, see for yourself,
Melanie said. I grabbed her phone and looked. Then I was shocked. 2 of the biggest pop stars were at her house. I'd never had any celebrities at my house before. I turned red in the face with anger and jealousy. A few minutes later, everyone but Mia had left my house. Even my boyfriend left.
I'm really sorry, Carmen, but I need his autograph. I'm going to Camilla's party,
Mia finally said and walked away. I couldn't believe that everyone had betrayed me. I hated everyone. The next week at school was horrible. Now Camilla seemed to be more popular than I was, and she even offered for people to hang out with the pop stars the next weekend. Everyone wanted to be her friend. A few weeks passed, and although I was still a bit popular, I began to fade into the background. Only about 20 people came to my parties because Camilla always had someone famous at her house. I don't know how and where Camilla was meeting all these celebrities, but there was a different one at her house almost every week. She started thinking she was more important than me too. Every time she passed me in the hallway, she'd just give me an evil smirk. I just rolled my eyes at her. I began spending a lot of time at home by myself. I taught myself a few new hobbies and began to read more books. I thought that there was no way my life could get worse than this, but I couldn't have been more wrong. One evening, as I just began watching an episode of my favorite show, my parents walked into the living room looking extremely sad, like someone had died. "What's wrong? Have you run out of money or something?" I asked.
No. Can you turn off the television for a while?
I turned it off and they sat next to me.
We have a confession to make, and we hope you won't become too angry at us.
A confession? What is it? I asked.
Well, have you ever wondered why you and your brother look nothing alike?
No, not really.
Well, we adopted you when you were 2 years old, and apparently something was wrong with our paperwork, because we were just contacted by the authorities. Your biological parents want you back.
Is this some kind of joke? I was bewildered.
I'm sorry, darling. No, it's not. I know that this is a lot to digest at this time, and we've asked them to give you a little more time. You'll be going to stay with them next week. We are so sorry. Please never forget that we love you like you're our own daughter, and we'll never see you differently, even when you're living away from us.
Where do they live?
Not too far from here. You'll still be able to go to the same school, so your entire life won't change.
Can't you all fight against this? I don't want to go live with some strangers. They said nothing and continued to look devastated. I cried myself to sleep that night. The next day, I couldn't go to school because I was crying all day too. This was the most horrible news I had ever received in my life. But it got worse. The next week, I packed my things and got ready for my parents to drive me to my biological parents' house. We left our beautiful community with its rich people, mansions, and swimming pools and entered a very poor, sad-looking neighborhood. It looked like there were many homeless people on every corner. Stray animals walked around looking like they hadn't eaten in days. Not many people looked happy.
We're here.
I stared out of the window of my dad's Ferrari and nearly burst into tears again. You can't leave me here, I wailed.
We have no choice, honey. We're so sorry.
My dad said, looking like he was ready to cry too. The house was practically falling apart. 2 windows were missing upstairs and the walls were filthy. I imagined that it couldn't be better inside. We walked to the door and knocked. A man and woman opened it together.
Carmen, our lovely daughter. We are so happy to see you after all of these years.
They invited us all in and we sat in the living room where there was one old soiled couch and an old-fashioned television which was turned off. They offered us some snacks, but I refused to touch anything in that filthy place. I think that the mom and dad I grew up with were very angry that my biological parents wanted me back, but for my sake, they chose to remain calm. After they left, my new mom and dad, Janet and George, showed me upstairs to my room. It was smaller than the laundry room at my old house. I had a tiny old bed, a small desk, and a wardrobe. Janet decided to stay in my room for a while to talk to me.
I'm sure you're a bit upset and you're wondering why we put you up for adoption. We are so sorry, and we really didn't mean it. It's just that you were our firstborn and we had no money at all. We always intended to take you back after we became a bit more comfortable. We both have jobs now, and we don't make much, but it's enough. We're in a better position now.
It really doesn't look so, I sighed while rolling my eyes.
Well, I'll let you get settled and then you can come to meet your brothers and sisters.
I didn't even know I had brothers and sisters. How did they all live together in this dump? Later, I met my 2 little brothers, Jake and Harold, and my 2 little sisters, Haley and Savannah. I wondered why my parents kept having children if they were so poor, and why on earth they decided to drag me into this mess. Luckily, I still had my laptop, my phone, and all my other gadgets. As I sat on my bed that night, I realized that I'd have to go to school the next day. What would my friends think if they found out I lived here now? I'd have to lie about everything. The next day, I had to take the school bus because Janet and George didn't own a car. I walked far away from the house and took the bus when it passed. When I got to school, my boyfriend Chris saw me walking in.
Hey, how come you took the bus this morning?
He laughed. I'm trying out this new experiment to find out how other people live. It's wild. All those people in one bus? My lie was good enough for him. As we walked down the hallway, a few people stopped me to ask when the next party was. I had to continue lying. I told them that my parents were away for a few weeks and that I wasn't allowed to have anyone over until they got back. They accepted this and moved on. But it kept getting worse and I continued having to create lies.
Hey, can I come over later so we can work on our history project together?
Mia asked. I began to freak out internally because I remembered she lived across the street from where I used to live and she'd eventually notice that I just wasn't there. I can't tonight, sorry. I've got a hot date with Chris. She shrugged and started talking about something else. I began to hate my life. I was used to being rich and popular, and part of me felt like this was all a terrible dream. After school, I pretended like I had to leave early. I hid in a small storage room until I was sure that everyone had left, and then I walked to the bus stop and took a bus home. I continued this routine for a while, and I started to get used to my new life. I stopped being so judgmental of my biological parents and even became friendlier to my brothers and sisters. In fact, I started to like my little sisters a lot. They looked up to me because they thought I was so interesting and beautiful. I still called my other parents from time to time, and I missed them to shreds, but life had to go on. I finally began to feel at peace until the most dreadful morning I ever had at school.
Carmen, Camilla uploaded this long video about how you're a fraud. I don't even know whether to believe it. It's awful.
Mia said as I got off the school bus. She shoved her phone into my hands and I watched the video. It showed me walking away from school and getting on the bus. Then it showed where I got off and zoomed in onto my house. My house, which was falling apart. Camilla said,
Carmen pretends to be rich and amazing, but the truth is that she's poor. She was adopted by these rich people for a while, but now she's gone back to live with her real parents. This is why there are no parties. She's been lying to all of her friends too.
I couldn't believe that Camilla would follow me home and record me just to become more popular. How did she even know all of this? I started crying. It's all true, Mia. I've been living there for months. I hate it. She looked at me seriously, then walked away. I couldn't believe that my best friend in the whole world ignored me while my life had fallen apart. That night, I got home and nothing could have prepared me for what I would see next. My original mom and dad were sitting in Janet and George's kitchen.
You see, I told you this experiment would have been too much. She looks devastated.
What experiment?
Your mom and I decided that your life was too easy. You wasted a lot of money and you didn't seem grateful for all the wonderful things you had. So we hired these actors to pretend to be your biological parents. You can come home with us tonight, though.
I hate you guys. This was torture. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Well, didn't you learn a valuable lesson?
I couldn't believe it. While the lesson was useful, I thought it was a bit excessive. I was extremely grateful that I was no longer poor, though, and when it was time to leave, I literally hugged my dad's car seats all the way home. I changed a lot. Instead of spending money on parties, I saved money and used it to help to take care of Janet and George's children. I was still grateful for all they had done for me, and I wanted the best for their kids. I still call them my little brothers and sisters. I remember that being popular doesn't really mean that I have true friends, so I am working on becoming a better person, and I hope that I will be able to attract the right crowd when I do.
Die Woodley High war mein Königreich. Ich herrschte und eroberte alles und jeden, der sich mir in den Weg stellte. Das wurde von mir erwartet, das war meine Pflicht. Bescheidenheit war für mich nie eine Option. Ich war in allem gut und wusste es. Alle wussten es und liebten mich dafür, selbst die, die mich hassten, respektierten mich. Ich war Basketballkapitän und wurde von allen zum Homecoming-König gewählt. College-Scouts bettelten darum, eine Minute mit mir verbringen zu dürfen. Ich war der Highschool-Traum aller Mädchen. Mich wurde von allen Gleichaltrigen beneidet. Diejenigen, die nicht meine Freunde waren, wünschten sich, sie wären es. Ich war an der Spitze der Nahrungskette der Woodley High. Ich war unaufhaltsam. Dies ist die Geschichte, wie ich mein Königreich verlor und wie ein einfaches Versprechen von Ruhm und Prestige die 3 heißesten Mädchen der Woodley High dazu brachte, um mich zu kämpfen. Willst du wissen, wer gewonnen hat? Bleib dran und finde es heraus. Hi, Hen, was gibt's? Hey, hast du heute Abend Zeit? Dad ist in der Stadt und wir geben vor dem Spiel am Samstag ein Glücksdinner für ihn. Ich rufe an, um dich einzuladen. Ich habe Zeit, aber bist du sicher, dass er mich dort haben will? Ich meine, er ist der Basketballtrainer der Greenfield High. Das ist unser größter Rivale im Bundesstaat und wir spielen am Samstag im Meisterschaftsfinale gegen sie. Natürlich will er dich dabei haben. Du bist mein Jugendfreund und das ist wichtiger als sein Spiel. Komm schon, das wird lustig und vielleicht lernst du noch etwas über seine Taktik. Nun, wenn du es so ausdrückst, okay, ich werde da sein. Wir sehen uns in einer Stunde. 2 Stunden später wurde das Abendessen serviert. Am Tisch saßen Hannah, ihre Eltern und ich. Also, Escher, seid ihr bereit, am Samstag zu verlieren? Haha, netter Versuch, Mr. Davis. Wir sind bereit zu gewinnen. Euer Team hat keine Chance. Zuversichtlich, das gefällt mir. Möge das beste Team gewinnen. Wir sehen uns auf dem Platz, mein Sohn. Ich kann es kaum erwarten, dass dieses Spiel endlich vorbei ist. Ich hasse es, zwischen dir und Papa wählen zu müssen. Nach dem Abendessen saßen wir im Wohnzimmer und sahen fern. Hannahs Mutter sah aus, als ob sie jeden Moment in Tränen ausbrechen würde. Mama, was ist los? Es ist nichts, worüber du dir Sorgen machen müsstest, Schatz. Es ist nur so, dass die Schule einen Nachfolger für mich als Trainer für die nächste Saison sucht. Ich kann meinen Job nur behalten, wenn ich das Spiel am Samstag gewinne. Was? Aber du bist doch schon seit Jahren ihr Trainer. Die können dich doch nicht einfach feuern, oder? Ich fürchte, das können sie sehr wohl. Ich muss die Meisterschaft gewinnen, oder ich bin raus. Hannas Mutter schluchzte geradezu und ihr Vater rieb ihr liebevoll die Schultern. Ich fühlte mich, als würde ich in einen privaten Familienmoment eindringen, also verabschiedete ich mich und ging. Später an diesem Abend klingelte mein Telefon und ich schaute nach und sah, dass es eine Videochat-Anfrage von Hannah war. »Hi, Han, wie geht es deiner Mutter? Es tut mir leid, dass ich gehen musste. Ich dachte, ich sollte euch etwas Freiraum geben. Wie geht es dir?« »Ist schon gut, Ash. Ich wäre mit dir gegangen, aber meine Eltern brauchten mich. Mom schläft jetzt, aber ich kann Dad oben in ihrem Schlafzimmer auf und ab gehen hören. Ich weiß nicht, was ich tun soll. Ich mache mir Sorgen um ihn. Ich habe gehört, wie er sagte, dass wir unser Haus verlieren könnten und ich vielleicht nicht aufs College gehen kann.« »Bist du sicher? Ich wusste nicht, dass es so schlimm ist. Ich wünschte, ich könnte etwas tun, um zu helfen. Es tut mir so leid.« »Vielleicht verliert er das Spiel sowieso nicht. Ich weiß, das würde bedeuten, dass du verlierst. Das ist scheiße.« »Wenn der Verlust der Meisterschaft bedeutet, dass dein Vater seinen Job und das Haus behalten kann und du aufs College gehen kannst, dann ist das nicht so schlimm. Ich kann damit leben.« Einen Tag später, als ich mit meinem Team auf das größte Spiel des Jahres, vielleicht sogar unseres Lebens wartete, traf ich eine Entscheidung. Ich beschloss, Mr. Davis zu helfen, das Spiel zu gewinnen, indem ich das Spiel absichtlich verlor. Ich verpasste Freiwürfe, ich verpasste Pässe, ich beging absichtliche Fouls und wir verloren die Meisterschaft gegen die Greenfield High. Nach dem Spiel rannte ich in die Umkleidekabine, rief meine Mutter an und beichtete. »Du hast was?« Nur war es nicht meine Mutter, die hinter mir stand, es war mein Teamkollege Carl. »Bitte sag mir, dass du uns nicht das größte Spiel unserer Highschool-Karriere gekostet hast.« »Carl, Er wartete nicht, bis ich zu Ende gesprochen hatte, sondern schlug mir mitten ins Gesicht und ging davon. An diesem Tag war ich als Held, Anführer und Krieger auf den Platz gegangen. Ich verließ ihn als Schurke, als Ausgestoßener und als die meistgehasste Person in der ganzen Woodley High. Ich war nicht länger der König. Die Leute wechselten auf die andere Seite, wenn sie mich auf dem Gehweg sahen. Meine Freundin Erika machte vor der ganzen Klasse mit mir Schluss. Mir wurde das Kapitänsamt entzogen und College Scouts zogen die Stipendienangebote zurück, die sie mir und einigen meiner Mannschaftskameraden gemacht hatten. Meine Noten gingen in den Keller. Mein Leben wurde zu einem Albtraum. »Asher, hey, darf ich mich zu dir setzen? Du kannst sogar etwas von meinem Essen haben.« Erika hatte seit der Trennung nicht mehr mit mir gesprochen. »Erika, was machst du da? Bist du dir sicher, dass du vor deinen Freunden mit mir reden willst?« »Es tut mir leid, das letzte Jahr war so anstrengend, dass ich kaum Zeit hatte, mich zu treffen. Aber jetzt bin ich hier. Wir sind immer noch cool, oder?« »Cool? Du hast mich quasi geghostet, nachdem du mich gedemütigt hast. Du hast mich auf all deinen Social-Media-Konten und auf deinem Telefon blockiert. Du hast deinen Schreibtisch von meinem weggeschoben und gehst in eine andere Richtung, wenn du mich in der Schule siehst. Was hätte ich denn tun sollen nach dem, was du getan hast? Es war entweder das oder mit dir unterzugehen. Bitte sag mir, dass du mich verstehst und mir vergibst. Bitte, Ash, ich vermisse dich.« »Gut, setz dich. Was willst du?« »Ich möchte wieder Freunde sein. Ich weiß, dass wir vielleicht nie wieder zusammenkommen werden, aber wir könnten trotzdem Freunde sein. Wir könnten in der Schule abhängen und tun, worauf du Lust hast.« Das war zu schön, um wahr zu sein. »Okay, ich werde darüber nachdenken. Ich hoffe, du führst nichts im Schilde.« »Toll, ich habe dir Freundschaftsanfragen in all meinen sozialen Netzwerken geschickt. Das ist super. Juhu!« Was ist gerade passiert? Der Nachmittagsunterricht verlief ereignislos, abgesehen von ein paar Zwinkern und Lächeln von Erika. Als die letzte Glocke läutete, eilte ich aus der Klasse, bevor sie mich einholen konnte. Irgendetwas an der ganzen Sache fühlte sich nicht richtig an. Ich rannte über den Schulparkplatz, als ich mit jemandem zusammenstieß, im wahrsten Sinne des Wortes. Meine Bücher und Papiere flogen mir direkt aus den Armen. »Asher, bist du in Ordnung? Es tut mir so leid, lass mich dir helfen.« Ich war in der Hocke und versuchte, meine Bücher aufzuheben, bevor der Wind sie erwischte. Als ich die vertraute Stimme hörte, sah ich auf. »Ashley, was?« Ashley war die Cheerleaderin und eines der heißesten Mädchen der Schule. Sie und ich verkehrten in denselben Kreisen, obwohl Erika sie nie mochte. Wie Erika hatte sie mich dieses Jahr auch kaum beachtet. »Eigentlich bin ich froh, dass ich dich getroffen habe. Dieses Wochenende findet im Strandhaus meines Vaters eine Party statt. Wir haben sogar vor, ein Lagerfeuer anzuzünden. Wirst du kommen? Ich würde mich freuen, dich dort zu haben. Es ist am Samstag. Ich hoffe, du weißt noch, wie du hinkommst. Wenn nicht, ruf mich an. Wir sehen uns. Ich war mir jetzt sicher, dass ich mir irgendwie den Kopf gestoßen hatte und in einem anderen Universum aufgewacht war. Es war schon fast dunkel, als ich am Strandhaus ankam. Ash, oh mein Gott, du bist gekommen. Ich bin so froh, dich zu sehen. Ashley warf sich in meine Arme und riss mich fast zu Boden. Was in aller Welt ist hier los? Ash, was machst du denn hier? Erika stand da und beobachtete uns, die Hände in die Hüften gestemmt. Halte dich zurück, Jerrican. Asher ist mein Gast. Du hattest die Chance, ihn zu bitten, mit dir zu kommen, aber du hast es nicht getan. Wer rastet, der rostet. Es ist heute Abend. Er ist heute Abend bei mir. Das werden wir ja sehen. Und mein Name ist Erika. Erika ergriff meine Hand und riss mich aus Ashleys Armen. Mädels, ich bin nicht auf Ärger aus, also denke ich, ich werde gehen. Ich gehe mit dir. Nein, wird er nicht. Du gehst. Du bist hier nicht mehr willkommen. Komm schon, Ash. Ich hatte genug gesehen. Ich drehte mich um, ging zurück zu meinem Auto und fuhr nach Hause. So viel dazu, wieder Freunde zu haben. Am Montagmorgen rief mich Lisa, die Vorsitzende der Studentenschaft, in ihr Büro. Es war eher ein Kleiderschrank als ein Büro. Hi, ich bin Asher. Du wolltest mich sprechen? Setz dich. Wie geht es dir in deinem letzten Jahr? Ich weiß, dass du mit einigen Herausforderungen zu kämpfen hast. Hast du dich schon entschieden, wo du aufs College gehen wirst? Es war eine ziemliche Umstellung, aber ich überstehe das schon. Um ehrlich zu sein, gehe ich vielleicht nicht aufs College. Meine Noten sind in letzter Zeit nicht so gut und ich bezweifle, dass jemand bereit ist, ein Empfehlungsschreiben für mich zu schreiben. Das ist der Grund, warum ich dich hierher gerufen habe. Ich habe vielleicht eine Möglichkeit, dir zu helfen, an einigen Colleges angenommen zu werden. Als Vorsitzende der Schülervertretung werde ich dir persönlich ein Empfehlungsschreiben schreiben. Ich könnte auch den Schulleiter und den Basketballtrainer dazu bringen, dir ebenfalls Briefe zu schreiben. Langsames Klatschen ertönt hinter mir. Sieh an, sieh an. Sie missbrauchen Ihr Büro, Lisa? Wenn man es überhaupt so nennen kann. Wenn Ash ein gutes Wort beim Trainer einlegen muss, bin ich gerne bereit, das zu tun. Ich kann ihn sogar zurück ins Team holen. Oder hast du vergessen, dass ich die Cheerleaderin bin? Ihn zurück ins Team holen? Bitte. Deine Aufgabe ist es, hübsch auszusehen, zu jubeln und für andere zu klatschen, Ashley. Überlass die eigentliche Arbeit mir. Wie auch immer, Livid Lisa. Ich werde in der Sporthalle sein und darauf warten, Ash dem neuen Trainer vorzustellen. Ich sitze nicht in meinem Schrank vom Büro und mache leere Versprechungen. Wie kannst du es wagen? Ich war auf den Beinen und aus der Tür, bevor das Ganze in einen weiteren Schreikrampf ausartete. Asher, warte, wir sind noch nicht fertig mit dem Gespräch. Ich muss dir helfen. Sie musste mir helfen? Die ganze Woche über saßen Ashley und Erika im Unterricht neben mir. Beim Mittagessen stritten sie sich darum, wer mein Tablett tragen durfte. Erika bot mir sogar an, meine Bücher zum und vom Unterricht zu tragen. Ich muss zugeben, dass das ein bisschen schmeichelhaft war. Okay, sehr schmeichelhaft. Ich fühlte mich wie mein altes Ich. Ich begann sogar, mich wieder auf die Schule zu freuen. Aber wie in jedem Märchen war mein neu gefundenes Glück nicht von Dauer. Ich war naiv zu glauben, dass es so sein würde. Eines Abends kam ich von der Schule nach Hause und fand meinen Bruder Nate, der mit meiner Mutter das Abendessen vorbereitete. Nate, wann bist du denn gekommen? Kleiner Bruder, es ist so schön, dich zu sehen. Komm her. Nate nahm mich in die Arme und wirbelte mich herum. Das tat er immer, wenn er nach Hause kam, nachdem er monatelang an irgendeinem schicken Drehort für einen Blockbuster-Film gewesen war. Mein großer Bruder war ein berühmter Filmstar. Mensch, lass mich runter, ich bin nicht mehr dein kleiner Bruder. Du wirst immer mein kleiner Bruder sein und ich werde immer auf dich aufpassen. Nach dem Abendessen sahen Nate und ich gerade fern, als sein Telefon klingelte. Er lehnte den Anruf ab, aber nicht, bevor ich die Anrufer-ID gesehen hatte. Da stand Erika Woodley High. Nate, warum ruft dich meine ehemalige Freundin an? Habt ihr beide etwas miteinander? Nein, wofür hältst du mich? Es ist nichts, Ash. Vergiss, dass du etwas gesehen hast. Gut, wenn du es mir nicht sagen willst, dann wird sie es tun. Ich rufe sie jetzt an. Nein, nicht. Ich werde dir alles erzählen, was du wissen willst. Ich wette, du hattest eine ziemlich interessante Woche in der Schule, oder? Woher weißt du überhaupt davon? Nate, was hast du getan? Oh mein Gott, du bist Nathaniel Jeffries. Du bist so berühmt. Ich rollte mit den Augen. Warum hielt ich es für eine gute Idee, eine Highschool-Party zu besuchen? Hey, Süße, ich bevorzuge Nate. Nathaniel ist für meine Eltern, wenn sie wirklich wütend auf mich sind. Du musst Ashley sein. Ashley hüpfte förmlich auf ihren Füßen. Ich kann nicht glauben, dass du auf meiner Party bist. Leute, ihr alle, seht mal wer... Psst, Mir wäre es lieber, die Leute wüssten nicht, wer ich bin. Kannst du ein Geheimnis bewahren, Ashley?
Natürlich, meine Lippen sind zugeklebt. Zugenäht. Hä? Wie auch immer, Jerrycan.
Erika drehte sich zu mir um und wies Ashley damit ab.
Was machst du hier, Nate? Es ist meine Party, da. Nur ich darf ihn das fragen.
Ich bin wegen eines Auftrags hier, wegen Asher.
Ah, Loser Asher? Er ist ein Loser.
Erika bewegte sich unbehaglich. Nach den Ereignissen des letzten Semesters hat jemand beschlossen, einen Film über Ashers Geschichte zu drehen, und sie haben mich gebeten, Ashers Rolle zu spielen.
Dann bist du am falschen Ort. Er ist nicht hier. Vielleicht versuchst du es in der staubigsten Ecke der Schulbibliothek. Solltest du ihn nicht einfach anrufen? Ich meine, er ist dein Bruder.
Das werde ich. Ich wollte zuerst mit euch reden. Die Produzenten der Show wollen nach der Abschlussfeier mit den Dreharbeiten beginnen. Sie haben mich gebeten, eine von Ashers Freundinnen auszusuchen, die mit mir in dem Film mitspielen soll.
Viel Glück dabei. Er hat keine Freunde mehr. Sogar die kleine Miss Perfect hier hat mit ihm Schluss gemacht.
Das weiß ich. Deshalb habe ich eine aufregende Gelegenheit für eine von euch.
Ja?
Erika rollte mit den Augen. Ich liebe euren Enthusiasmus. Was würdet ihr davon halten, in dem Film mitzuspielen?
Oh mein Gott!
Erika tat so, als wäre sie nicht interessiert, aber ich wusste, dass sie sehr wohl interessiert war.
Die ganze Woche dachten Sie also, Sie würden für einen Film vorsprechen?
Ja, ich habe ihnen gesagt, dass sie sich mit dir anfreunden und Zeit mit dir in und außerhalb der Schule verbringen müssen, um vorzusprechen. Jemand von der Show würde ihre Interaktionen mit dir bis zum Ende des Semesters beobachten und dann einen von ihnen als meinen Co-Star auswählen.
Nate, bitte sag mir, dass so ein Film nicht gedreht wird.
Nein, natürlich nicht. Ich bin nur in der Stadt, um für eine Rolle zu recherchieren, die ich in einem kommenden Film bekommen habe. Ich spiele einen Highschool-Football-Kapitän. Das ist der Grund, warum ich auf Ashleys Party war.
Was ist mit Lisa? Hat sie auch vorgesprochen, als sie mir angeboten hat, mich aufs College zu bringen?
Ja und nein. Sie hat mich auf Ashleys Party belauscht und mich später auf der Party angesprochen. Sie war nicht daran interessiert, sich mit dir anzufreunden, aber sie bot dir an, dir die Empfehlungsschreiben im Austausch für einen Job am Set während der Dreharbeiten zu besorgen.
Warum hast du das getan?
Um dir zu helfen, natürlich. Ich dachte, du könntest ein paar Freunde gebrauchen, und wer wäre besser geeignet als die beiden beliebtesten Mädchen der Schule? Lisa war nur ein zusätzlicher Bonus. Funktioniert es?
Wenn du mit funktionieren meinst, dass ich keinen einzigen Moment mehr für mich habe, dann ja, es funktioniert.
Ist das nicht eine gute Sache? Du siehst nicht glücklich aus. Ich hatte ein wenig mehr Dankbarkeit erwartet.
Ich bin dir dankbar, Nate, wirklich. Ich weiß, dass du nur auf mich aufpassen wolltest. Und in gewisser Weise hast du auch geholfen. Ich habe endlich begriffen, dass ich nicht mehr beliebt sein muss. Ich mag mein Leben so, wie es jetzt ist. Wenn es in Ordnung ist, würde ich dich bitten, die Mädchen zurückzurufen. Was Lisa betrifft, so könnte ich diese Briefe gut gebrauchen, aber nicht unter einem falschen Vorwand.
Ich werde ihnen sofort absagen, wenn du das willst, Ash. Was Lisa angeht, werde ich ihr einen Aushilfsjob in dem Film besorgen, für den ich recherchiere. Ich bin sicher, das wird reichen und sie wird dir die Briefe besorgen.
Nate hat Erikas Nummer gewählt. Montag wird ein sehr interessanter Tag an der Woodley High sein.
Diese Theorie wurde schon vor langer Zeit widerlegt. Deine Gleichung ist falsch. Ihr Lehrer enttäuscht mich immer wieder. Stuart, so spricht man nicht mit seinem Lehrer. Du wurdest schon einmal gewarnt. Ich soll also einfach hier sitzen und mir anhören, wie sie immer wieder Unsinn erzählen? Ich erhob mich von meinem Platz, schnappte mir einen Whiteboard-Marker und wiederholte das mathematische Konzept, das Mr. Bryan der Klasse beizubringen versucht hatte. Als ich mit meiner Erklärung fertig war, sahen alle so aus, als hätten sie es verstanden. Sehen Sie, kinderleicht. Und Sie sagten, Sie hätten einen Doktortitel? In welchem Fach? Im Blöffen? Der Rest der Klasse lachte. Hahaha. Raus aus meiner Klasse! Ich habe genug von deinem ungebührlichen Verhalten. Ich werde morgen deine Eltern anrufen. Ich zuckte mit den Schultern. Ich schätze, er war nicht glücklich darüber, dass ich ihm geholfen hatte. Das war nie jemand. Aber in dieser Geschichte geht es darum, wie ich mich schließlich gerächt habe, und ihr müsst bis zum Ende durchhalten, um zu erfahren, wie. Junge, ich habe alle leiden lassen. Am nächsten Tag kamen meine Eltern in meine Schule. Wir trafen uns alle im Büro des Schulleiters mit diesem nervigen Mr. Bryan. Ihr Sohn hat keinen Respekt vor Autoritäten. Was hast du dieses Mal getan, Stuart? Ich habe ihm nur ein Konzept erklärt, das er falsch unterrichtet hat. Dieser junge Mann hat meinen Unterricht gestört. Ich habe ganz korrekt unterrichtet. Danke. Ich meine, Sie müssen bessere Einstellungsgespräche führen, wenn Sie Lehrer einstellen. Dieser Typ hat keine Ahnung, wovon er redet. Haben Sie überhaupt seine Qualifikationen gesehen? Woher wollen Sie wissen, dass sie nicht gefälscht sind? Meine Eltern gaben viel Geld aus, um mich hierher zu schicken, wissen Sie? Wir erwarten eine gute Ausbildung. Ich sollte nicht für Sie unterrichten müssen. Werden Sie anfangen, mir ein Gehalt zu zahlen? Ich finde, das sollten Sie tun. Sehen Sie, Herr und Frau Jonas, das ist die Einstellung, mit der wir uns jeden Tag abfinden müssen. Stuart hat keinen Respekt vor Autoritäten und ist extrem arrogant. Wir erkennen an, dass er sehr intelligent ist, aber mit dieser Einstellung wird er es nicht weit bringen. Hat er etwa alles, was ich gerade gesagt habe, einfach ignoriert? Jedenfalls endete dieses Treffen damit, dass meine Mutter mich verteidigte und mein Schuldirektor drohte, mich bei weiteren Vergehen rauszuschmeißen. Als wir zu Hause ankamen, ließen sie mich aber gewähren. Wir verteidigen dich in der Öffentlichkeit, aber die Wahrheit ist, dass du uns wirklich Kopfschmerzen bereitest, mein Sohn. Was? Wie? Wir zahlen wirklich viel, um dich auf diese Eliteschule zu schicken. Ich weiß, dass du nicht immer mit ihnen einverstanden bist, aber könntest du bitte versuchen, ein bisschen ruhiger zu sein? Aber Mama, sie sind so nervig. Versuch es einfach. Also dachte ich mir, dass ich mich nur für meine Eltern anstrengen würde, besonders für meine Mutter. Meine vorherige Schule war noch schlimmer. Es war eine normale öffentliche Schule und ich fand sie überhaupt nicht anspruchsvoll. Es fühlte sich an wie in der Vorschule und in meinem ersten Schuljahr hatte ich bereits alle Inhalte der Oberstufe gemeistert. Meine Eltern beschlossen, mich auf eine Eliteschule für Highschool-Schüler zu versetzen, die auf College-Niveau lernten. Alle Lehrer hatten einen Doktortitel und galten als die Besten des Landes. Die Schule war sehr modern und sah aus wie etwas aus der Zukunft. Mein Vater hatte auch einen zusätzlichen Job angenommen, um das Schulgeld zu bezahlen. Obwohl ich ziemlich schlau bin, war ich nicht der typische Streber. Ich bin groß, muskulös und umwerfend gut aussehend. Ich trage auch keine Brille, aber nichts gegen meine vieräugigen Zuschauer. Als ich auf diese Schule kam, fühlte ich mich sofort wie eine Berühmtheit. Alle Mädchen sabberten nach mir und ich konnte mir so ziemlich jede aussuchen, die ich wollte. Aber im Gegensatz zu den typischen, gut aussehenden Typen war mir das Aussehen nicht so wichtig. Ich fühlte mich von Intelligenz angezogen und verliebte mich sofort in das klügste Mädchen in meiner Klasse, Millie. Sie war ein süßes, kleines Mädchen mit schwarzen Haaren, braunen Augen und der größten Brille, die ich je in meinem Leben gesehen hatte. Als ich sie das erste Mal fragte, ob sie mit mir ausgeht, war das urkomisch. »Willst du mit mir ausgehen?« »Ja, Millie.« »Aber du kannst jedes andere Mädchen haben, was du willst. Warum ich?« »Du bist die Schönste in meinen Augen und du bist so klug und hast eine wunderbare Persönlichkeit.« »Soll das ein Scherz sein?« »Nun, geh einmal mit mir aus und du wirst es herausfinden.« Ich zwinkerte ihr zu und sie errötete. Sie stimmte zu und als ich mit ihr ausging, sorgte ich dafür, dass unser erstes Date unvergesslich wurde. Ich schenkte ihr ein Dutzend Rosen und viel Schokolade und dann gingen wir in ein Museum. Kluge Mädels stehen auf so etwas. Sie war also überzeugt, dass es kein Scherz war und einen Monat später willigte sie ein, meine Freundin zu werden. Damit will ich sagen, dass mein Leben in der Highschool großartig lief. Ich war wunderschön, ich hatte eine Freundin und ich war klug. Ich hasste nur die Lehrer, weil ich sie für dumm hielt. Ich beschloss, den Rat meiner Mutter zu befolgen und ein bisschen ruhiger zu werden, aber das hielt nicht lange an. Meine Biologielehrerin, Miss Thompson, unterrichtete etwas über die neuesten Erkenntnisse in der biochemischen Forschung, aber ihre Quellen waren veraltet. »Das ist falsch, Miss Thompson.« »Was meinst du damit, das ist falsch?« »Ihre Quellen sind veraltet. Ich habe erst gestern Abend darüber nachgelesen. Hier ist der Grund, warum Ihre Recherche fehlerhaft ist.« Ich erhob mich von meinem Platz und unterrichtete die Klasse erneut. Sie stand in einer Ecke und ihr blasses Gesicht wurde schnell rot. »Sehen Sie, bitte recherchieren Sie gründlich, bevor Sie in den Unterricht kommen. Es gibt keine Entschuldigung für diese schlampige Art des Unterrichts. Unsere Eltern bezahlen euch nicht für Ihre Faulheit.« »Er hat recht. Wow, Stuart, du bist so schlau.« »Ihr zwei, verschwindet sofort aus meiner Klasse. Ihr denkt, ihr seid die Bonnie und Clyde des Bildungssystems, was? Raus mit euch! Ich habe es so satt, dass ihr Schüler denkt, ihr wisst es besser als ich. Vielleicht solltet ihr alle zu Hause bleiben und euch selbst unterrichten. Ah!« Millie und ich gingen nach draußen, während sie ihren Wutanfall fortsetzte. Ich wusste, dass so etwas irgendwann passieren würde und dass sie meine Eltern anrufen würden, um ihnen mitzuteilen, dass ich schließlich von der Schule verwiesen worden war. Um diese ganze Situation zu vermeiden, hatte ich die Telefone meiner Eltern umprogrammiert. Sollte die Schule anrufen, würden sie eine aufgezeichnete Nachricht hören, von der meine Eltern nichts wussten. Ich habe frühere Sprachaufnahmen der Stimme meiner Mutter benutzt, um die perfekten Antworten zu geben. Was? Er hat wieder Ärger gemacht? Ist er jetzt von der Schule geflogen? Okay, danke für die Information. Nachdem ich allein im Büro des Schulleiters vorgeladen worden war und man mir gesagt hatte, dass dies der letzte Strohhalm sei und meine Eltern bereits informiert worden waren, verabschiedete ich mich von ihm und ging zu Millie, die immer noch im Flur auf mich wartete. »Willst du den Tag mit mir verbringen oder willst du bis zu deiner nächsten Stunde warten?« »Lass uns was Lustiges machen.« Wir verließen die Schule und gingen zu einem kleinen Jahrmarkt. Wir aßen viele zuckerhaltige Snacks und fütterten uns gegenseitig mit Zuckerwatte. Wir gingen in ein Spukhaus und fuhren sogar zusammen Karussell. Es war zauberhaft, bis wir beschlossen, dass es Zeit war, nach Hause zu gehen und ich die schwierigen Fragen beantworten musste. »Was wirst du jetzt tun?« »Meine Eltern haben keine Ahnung, dass ich rausgeschmissen wurde und ich werde es ihnen auch nicht sagen. Ich werde ganz normal jeden Morgen das Haus verlassen und über den Rest denke ich später nach. Mach dir keine Sorgen, aber ich weiß nur, dass ich diese Schule zerstören werde. Ich werde dafür sorgen, dass sie sich nie wieder erholen.« Sie schenkte mir ein Lächeln, das mir zeigte, dass sie Vertrauen in meinen Plan hatte oder in das Fehlen eines solchen. Es ist schön, wenn man einen Partner hat, der einen unterstützt. Ich begleitete sie zu ihrem Haus, gab ihr einen Abschiedskuss und ging dann nach Hause. Als ich hereinkam, saßen meine Eltern bereits am Esstisch und führten ein langweiliges Gespräch. »Hey, mein Sohn, ich habe deiner Mutter gerade erklärt, dass Delfine nicht so freundlich sind, wie sie dargestellt werden. Sie können sehr gefährlich sein. Hast du das gewusst?« »Ja, sie haben Zähne und können beißen.« »Also, ich finde sie süß. Hattest du einen schönen Tag?« »Ja, perfekt. Ich habe heute so viel gelernt.« Sie haben nichts geahnt. Am nächsten Tag ging ich ganz normal von zu Hause weg und nahm einen Bus ins Nirgendwo. Ich wusste nicht, wohin ich wollte. Ich bezahlte einfach eine Fahrkarte und fuhr los. Ich wollte nur sicher gehen, dass ich nicht von meinen Eltern gefunden oder von einem unserer Nachbarn erkannt würde. Als ich die Endhaltestelle erreichte, stieg ich aus dem Bus und ging in ein Café. Ich setzte mich hin und überlegte mir einen Plan. Ich wollte ein Online-Unternehmen gründen, um zu sehen, ob ich etwas zusätzliches Geld verdienen könnte. Aber ich wollte auch einen Blog starten, der die Schule, die mich rausgeschmissen hatte, völlig sabotieren würde. Ich begann mit der Vermarktung meines Blogs in den sozialen Medien. Als ich sicher war, dass ich genug Follower hatte, begann ich alle möglichen Dinge zu posten. Und mit alle möglichen Dinge meine ich die schlimmstmöglichen Dinge. Und so ging es jeden Tag. Ich verbrachte die Hälfte des Tages mit meinem Geschäft und die andere Hälfte mit dem Blog. Ich habe das Gerücht in die Welt gesetzt, dass die Schule Prüfungsfirmen für Prüfungsunterlagen bezahlt und deshalb so gut abgeschnitten hat. Die Schüler schummelten alle und die Lehrer halfen ihnen dabei. Die Fake News verbreiteten sich wie ein Lauffeuer und der Schulleiter beschloss, sich öffentlich dazu zu äußern. Er versuchte die Öffentlichkeit davon zu überzeugen, dass es nicht wahr war, aber ich glaube nicht, dass ihm viele Leute glaubten. Das war nur in der ersten Woche. Aber das reichte mir nicht, also erfand ich die Geschichte, dass er eine Affäre mit Miss Thompson hatte, dieser schrecklichen Naturwissenschaftslehrerin, die ich hasste. Sie waren beide verheiratet, also wusste ich, dass es sehr schädlich sein würde. Es war mir alles egal. Ich wollte sie vernichten. Ich nutzte meine ausgezeichneten Photoshop-Kenntnisse, um gefälschte Bilder von den beiden zu erstellen, küssend, in einer dunklen Gasse, rummachend, in einem Klassenzimmer, beim gemeinsamen Abendessen. Es war skandalös. Ich veröffentlichte jeden Tag ein Bild, um die Sache noch dramatischer zu machen, und am Ende der Woche war die Geschichte überall in den Nachrichten. Beide Ehepartner wollten sich scheiden lassen und beide waren völlig verwirrt. Es war so befriedigend. Meine Followerschaft wuchs jeden Tag und nach einer Weile berichteten die Medien über das, was ich gepostet hatte. Niemand wusste, dass ich dahinter steckte und der Nervenkitzel war großartig. Am Ende des ersten Monats hatte die Schule mehrere Schüler verloren, aber das war mir nicht genug. Ich wollte, dass der Laden dicht gemacht wird. Also nahm ich mir beliebige Lehrer vor und konstruierte für sie schreckliche gefälschte Vergangenheiten, die ich in meinem Blog veröffentlichte. Der Englischlehrer? Nun, er war wegen Drogenbesitzes im Gefängnis. Der Mathelehrer? Er quält zum Spaß süße Tiere. Die Sozialkundelehrerin? Sie wurde in der Vergangenheit bei jedem anderen Job wegen Diebstahls gefeuert. Wie können sich die Menschen sicher fühlen, wenn ihre Kinder von Kriminellen umgeben sind? Ich habe es so überzeugend wie möglich gemacht. Keine dieser Geschichten war wahr, aber ich habe sie so glaubhaft gemacht. Sie haben noch mehr Schüler verloren, aber mir war nicht klar, dass mein Handeln lächerliche Folgen für mich haben könnte. Denn als ich nach dem Ende einer weiteren erfolgreichen Woche nach Hause kam, waren meine Eltern wütend. »Warum hast du uns nicht gesagt, was an deiner Schule los ist?« Ich dachte, ihr wisst es ist überall. Schummeln bei Prüfungen und jetzt haben die Lehrer auch noch Affären miteinander? Und ein Lehrer, der im Gefängnis war und ein anderer, der ein Dieb war? Ich will nicht, dass du weiter auf diese Schule gehst. Wir werden dir nächste Woche eine Versetzung besorgen. »Nein«, schrie ich, und in diesem Moment wurde es mir klar. Meine perfekten Tage im Coffeeshop gingen zu Ende. Ich hatte mir das selbst angetan. Nun gut. Und so ging ich in der nächsten Woche wieder zur Schule. Ich war wirklich genervt, weil ich nicht schon wieder mit blöden Lehrern zu tun haben wollte, aber dieser Ort war viel angenehmer. Es war eine Privatschule, aber ich würde sie nicht als elitär bezeichnen. Sie war sehr farbenfroh und alle schienen so freundlich zu sein, als ob sie Regenbögen und Sonnenschein zum Frühstück aßen. Ich versuchte mich in meinen Klassen einzuleben, ohne die Lehrer zu verärgern, aber die Wahrheit ist, dass sie gar nicht so schlecht waren. Ich beschloss, mich auf die Vorbereitung für das College zu konzentrieren und gerade als ich das Gefühl hatte, mein Leben wieder in den Griff zu bekommen, erhielt ich eine weitere gute Nachricht von Millie. Sie rief mich eines Abends an, als ich gerade mit den Hausaufgaben fertig war. »Stuart, du hast es geschafft!« »Was?« »Sie schließen die Schule. Der Direktor wurde vor einiger Zeit gefeuert und sie konnten niemanden finden, der ihn ersetzt, weil niemand es wollte. Es ist ein zu großes Durcheinander.« »Wow! Und weißt du was?« »Was?« »Ich wechsle nächste Woche an deine Schule. Wir werden wieder zusammen sein. Ich kann es kaum erwarten.« »Wow, das sind ja tolle Neuigkeiten.« Ich konnte mein Glück nicht fassen. Ich hatte es geschafft, diese Schule zu zerstören und meine Freundin würde an meiner neuen Schule in meine Klasse gehen. Ihr fragt euch wahrscheinlich, ob ich es bereue, das Leben der Lehrer zerstört zu haben, und die Wahrheit ist, dass ich das nicht tue. Das passiert eben, wenn man sich mit einem klugen Menschen anlegt. Ich hoffe, Sie haben Ihre Lektion gelernt.
Laura and I were sitting in the canteen enjoying our lunch. It was my favorite time of the day. Laura and I had been best friends since we were 5 years old, and we told each other everything. Suddenly, I became aware of someone standing behind me. When I turned and saw who it was, I groaned.
I've got something for you.
What? She didn't answer me. Instead, she just tipped the bucket of fish chum she was holding on top of my head. Bits of the bait dripped down onto my face and clothes.
Look at you!
Everyone stopped what they were doing and started pointing and laughing at me. Then the girl pulled out a camera and took a photo of me. I was so embarrassed I wanted to cry. Why is she so mean to me? But before I go on, I just want to check. You have liked and subscribed, haven't you? Oh, and don't forget to hit the notification bell too, or you might end up with fish chum all over you too. I burst into tears and ran out of the canteen. I could hear the sounds of laughter all the way down the corridor. Thankfully, when I got into the bathroom, there was no one else there. I would have died of embarrassment if someone else had seen me. I began cleaning myself up when suddenly the door burst open. I looked to see who had come in, but thankfully it was only Laura.
Claire, are you okay?
Yes, just my pride that's hurt more than anything.
I don't know why Abby is always so mean to you. What is her problem?
You know what she's like. She's always been like this with me since the first day I met her.
I just don't know what she's got against you.
I sighed. Neither do I. You see, that girl, well, she's my sister. Well, actually, she's my stepsister to be exact. We live together and she hates me. I remember the first time I met her. My mom had been on her own for a very long time. Her and my dad had split up when I was about 2 years old. So when she told me that she had met someone, you can imagine how happy I was. I didn't like to think of my mom being lonely. I wanted her to find someone to share her life with.
Claire, I have something to tell you.
Wow, that sounds serious.
Well, I think it's good news, and I hope that you will too.
Okay, go on then. What is it?
I have a boyfriend.
Yes!
Are you okay about it?
I'm more than okay. I'm ecstatic.
Oh, I'm so relieved. For a minute, I was worried that you wouldn't want me to date anyone.
Well, Mom, I just want you to be happy. So, what's his name?
It's Mike. He's divorced too, and has a daughter the same age as you.
So I'm going to get a sister too?
Well, yes. I guess you are.
I'm so excited! When am I going to meet her?
I've invited them over for dinner tomorrow night so that we can all get to know one another.
I can't wait to meet them. It's gonna be so much fun having a sister. For the rest of that evening and all the next day, I couldn't stop thinking about what it was going to be like to be part of a family again. Don't get me wrong, I had a wonderful life with my mom, but I had always wanted to know what it would be like to have a brother or a sister. Well, it looks like I'm going to find out. When I got home from school, Mom had already set the table for dinner. She had put her best tablecloth on the table and her finest crockery. It looks perfect, Mom.
Thank you, Claire. Now go upstairs and change out of your uniform. They will be here in about half an hour.
I ran up to my room and changed into the dress that I had picked out to wear. I really wanted to look my best when I met them. I wanted to make a good impression. I pulled my hair up into a high ponytail and put a pretty ribbon in it. Do I look okay, Mom?
You look beautiful, darling, but then again, you always do.
Just then, the doorbell rang.
That will be them. Do me a favor and go answer it, will you?
I opened the door.
Hello there, I'm Mike. You must be Claire.
Yes.
Claire, this is Abby, my daughter.
Hi, Abby. I gave them my most dazzling smile. Come in. We went into the lounge where Mom was waiting.
Hello, Abby. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Would you like a glass of lemonade or something?
Yes, please.
Right. Come on, Mike. You come and help me and let these two girls get to know each other.
Abby smiled at me. I felt so happy. Everything was going so well. Or at least it was. Because the minute my mom and Mike left the room, Abby's whole demeanor changed. Her face looked really surly, and she just sat on the sofa staring out the window. I tried to start a conversation with her, but it was like getting blood out of a stone. What kind of music do you like?
Dunno.
Do you have any pets?
Nope.
I tried and tried to get her to open up to me, but it was obvious she didn't want to know. Maybe she's just a bit shy. I'm sure we will soon become good friends. But unfortunately, we didn't.
There, I think we've got you all cleaned up now.
Just in time, too. That's the bell for class going.
The rest of the afternoon, I stayed well out of Abby's way. Luckily, we didn't have that many classes together, so it wasn't that difficult to avoid her. When the bell went at the end of the day, I got my coat and I went to find Laura.
Is it okay if I come home with you? I really don't want to see Abby when I get home.
Sure, no problem.
Thanks.
When we got to Laura's house, her mom was in the kitchen.
Mom, Claire's here. We're gonna go up to my room. Okay, hi, Claire.
Hi, Mrs. Davidson.
You two go on up. I'll bring you some milk and cookies in a bit.
Laura and I sat on her bed, and it wasn't long before the conversation turned to Abby.
You know, you should really tell your mom what's going on. She can't keep on treating you like this.
I can't tell her.
Why not?
Because I don't want to worry her or upset her. She has finally found the man of her dreams. Mike is so nice and kind, I don't want anything to spoil it.
It's just really hard seeing you being picked on like this.
It's okay, I can handle it.
Oh my God!
What? What is it? I could tell by the look on Laura's face she had seen something terrible on her phone. Panic started to build up inside me.
You don't want to know.
Just tell me, Laura. Laura handed her phone to me. My heart started beating faster, and I got a horrible sinking feeling in my stomach. On the screen was a photo of me with a chum running down my face and me crying out. Above the photo, it was captioned, "When you wake up on the wrong side of bed." I looked to see how many likes the photo had gotten and was shocked to see it was over 100,000 likes. It had been posted by a meme account. I searched the internet and soon saw that the meme had gone viral. I was absolutely distraught. Oh God, please, no! This can't be happening! I've become the school meme.
Look, it's not that bad.
Of course it's bad. No, it's worse than bad. It's terrible. I knew that Laura was only trying to comfort me, but nothing she said was going to make me feel better. My life is ruined.
Look on the bright side. You're famous.
Yeah, famous for being ugly. I burst into tears. I sobbed and sobbed. Suddenly, I felt a sharp sting on the side of my cheek. Laura had slapped me. I stopped crying and looked at her in shock.
Pull yourself together.
But
no buts. Yes, this is embarrassing, but this gives you the perfect opportunity to get your revenge.
Revenge?
You heard me.
I thought for a second about what Laura had said. Do you really think I could?
I know you can, and I'm going to help you.
Laura and I put our heads together and started to think up a plan. The next day at school, I spotted Abby sitting in the canteen with her friends. I winked at Laura, and she nodded at me. The two of us walked over to where Abby and her friends were sitting.
What do you want?
I tipped a bucket full of beetles right on top of Abby's head.
Ah! Ah!
Abby and her friends started screaming and ran out of the room. But before they went, I made sure that I got plenty of photos of them. Laura looked at me and we both burst out laughing.
You're gonna pay for this, Claire. If you think you're gonna get away with this, you'd better think again.
Don't threaten me, Abby. If you tell anyone about this or do anything else to me, I will release this image to the meme accounts. And trust me, they'll go wild. Abby looked at me. I could tell she was trying to weigh up if I was serious or not. She must have realized that I meant every word.
Okay, I won't say a word.
So, are we calling a truce? Abby reluctantly agreed.
I suppose so.
Laura and I high-fived each other. Success! From that moment on, things changed between Abby and I. It wasn't easy at first. She was still a bit cold towards me, but eventually she started to come around. By the end of the following week, we had actually become good friends. We started hanging out together after school and on weekends too. One Saturday when we were sitting and watching TV, I decided I would ask Abby why she hadn't liked me before. Why did you hate me when we first met?
Isn't it obvious?
No.
I was jealous of you.
Jealous? What on earth did you have to be jealous of?
You're just so beautiful. And you're smart and popular, and to be honest, I was worried that my dad would like you more than me.
But that's crazy. Of course your dad will always love you. You're his real daughter. And you are all of those things too.
No, I'm not. But that's okay.
I put my arm around Abby and gave her a hug. Do you think we could be real sisters now? She smiled at me.
I'd like that.
Months and months passed, and Abby and I just got closer and closer. We put everything that had happened in the past behind us and never spoke about it. Things were really great between us until one day when it all came crashing down. I was at home alone when Abby came bursting into my room.
We had a deal.
I had no idea what she was going on about.
You promised me.
What? Abby showed me her phone. On it was the photo of her covered in beetles. And above it was the caption, "When he says you're pretty, but the lie detector says it's a lie." I never sent that. Abby burst into tears.
How could you do this? I trusted you.
Honestly, Abby, I'm telling you the truth. It wasn't me that sent them the photo. I wouldn't do that to you.
Well, if it wasn't you, then who was it?
The only people who have that photo are me and... No, she wouldn't, right?
Well, there's only one way to find out.
We'll go there and ask her right now. When we got to Laura's house, I hammered on the door. Laura opened the door and smiled at me.
Hi, Claire.
I showed her the photo on my phone. As soon as she realized what it was, the smile fell from her face. I can't believe you did this, Laura. You know that I promised Abby I wouldn't post it. We have been getting on so well these last few months. She trusted me. What made you post it?
I never get to see you anymore. You spend all your time with Abby now.
Oh my God, are you serious? Are you telling me that you posted the photo because you are jealous of mine and Abby's relationship? She's my sister.
I posted it because I wanted her to get the revenge she deserved. After what she did to you, I wasn't going to let her get away with it.
No, that's not the reason. You posted it because you didn't want me and Abby to be friends. But you didn't have to do that. You should have just come and told me you were missing me. I would have understood.
I'm sorry, Claire. It's not me you should be apologizing to. It's Abby that deserves an apology.
I'm so sorry, Abby. I let my stupid jealousy ruin everything. Can you forgive me? I looked at Abby to see how she was going to respond. I knew that in the next minute or two would determine how all our friendships were going to end up.
I forgive you, Laura. I know how it feels to be jealous of someone. I don't want anything to come between me and my sister. But I also don't want you to lose your friendship with Claire. I would love it if we could all hang out together. How does that sound?
The three of us looked at each other and smiled.
That sounds perfect.
I put on my school uniform and glanced at myself in the mirror, even though I knew it wasn't a pretty sight. Well, actually, that's a bit of an understatement. I'm actually truly ugly. When I got to school, the girls all crowded around me.
Hi, Ethan. How's it going? Hey, Ethan, are we still going out this week? Ethan, don't forget you promised me a date at the weekend.
Wonder how I still managed to date the hottest girls at school, even though I'm the ugliest boy? Stay tuned to the end of the video. Oh yeah, and like and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell, won't you? At lunch, I sat with Amanda. She was my date for the day.
Oh, Ethan, you are so funny. I'm so lucky to be dating you today.
You sure are, Amanda. At the end of the school day, I stood at the school gates and waited for Amanda to come out.
Hey, Ethan.
Amanda came running over to me and planted a kiss on my cheek.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Then she handed me her homework.
Make sure you write the essay in black pen, won't you? See ya.
I waved goodbye to her and watched as she ran off in the opposite direction. You see, I do the girls' homework and assignments in exchange for a date. I've always been really smart, so it doesn't take much effort on my part, and I get to date whoever I want. I started off small at first. I just helped out a couple of girls as a favor. But then I realized I could actually make a business out of helping people. Only instead of them paying me money, they just had to give me kisses and help me to become popular. I think it's worth it, especially as I get the bragging rights too. The girls came and went. I never really cared about any of them. That was until I met Lucy. Lucy had stopped me in the corridor at school one day.
Hey, Ethan, do you think you could help me out with my history essay? I have to write 2,000 words on the Russian Revolution, and I don't know where to start.
Sure, no problem. I can get it done for you tonight. You know the deal, right?
Yes, I know the rules. I have to go on a date with you and make sure that everyone sees me giving you a kiss.
That's right. So I'll give you your completed essay in the morning, and then tomorrow will be our date.
Great, thanks.
I spent that evening writing the essay for Lucy, and the following morning I met her by the lockers. Here's your essay. Meet me in the canteen at lunchtime and we'll eat together, okay?
Okay, see you there.
What happened at lunchtime came as a complete surprise to me. I actually really enjoyed spending time with Lucy. I hadn't had that feeling with any of the other girls I had dated. I just used them, but it was different with Lucy. I actually really liked her. At the end of the school day, she gave me a kiss at the school gates as we had arranged. When I felt her lips touch my face, my heart skipped a beat. I really wanted to date her again. Have you got any more homework that you need help with?
Well, there is this math paper I have to hand in tomorrow, but I'm sure I can.
Before she could finish, I cut her off mid-sentence. Give it to me, I'll do it for you. Lucy looked a little unsure, but then she handed me her math paper. So, another date tomorrow then?
Yeah, I guess so.
I was so happy. Bye then, see you tomorrow. I watched Lucy right until she got to the end of the street and turned the corner. I think I'm in love. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Lucy. She was honestly the girl of my dreams. I realized then that I didn't want to date any other girls. I only wanted her. From now on, I'm not going to do homework for any of the other girls. Lucy is the one for me. But unfortunately, it seemed that Lucy didn't feel the same way. Because the next day, when she gave me a kiss goodbye at the school gates, she told me that she didn't have any more homework for me to help her with. But you must have something. I saw the English teacher giving out some homework.
No, really, it's fine. I can do my own homework.
But can we still carry on dating? I mean, what I'm saying is, even if I don't do any homework for you, can we still date?
I'm sorry, Ethan. I don't want to date you. I only kissed you because it was part of our deal. I don't want to continue going out with you.
I felt like I had been punched in the stomach and had my heart ripped out of my chest at the same time. How can she do this to me? Please, Lucy, I really like you.
No, Ethan, I'm sorry, but I don't feel the same way.
Suddenly, rage started building up inside of me. I thought that I was going to explode. I was so angry. You can't just dump me like this. You're not going to get away with it.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Well, that's what you think. If you don't carry on dating me, then I'm going to tell all of your teachers that you let me do your homework for you.
You wouldn't.
Just try me.
But I will get in so much trouble. My parents will kill me if they find out.
Well, I guess you know what you have to do then, don't you? Her face fell. It was obvious she knew there was no other choice.
Okay. I will carry on dating you.
Yes, you won't regret this, Lucy. I'm sure once you get to know me better, you'll fall in love with me. I could see the doubt on her face.
Yeah, maybe.
Even though Lucy had only agreed to date me because I had blackmailed her, I didn't care. I loved her too much to let her go. But whenever we were on a date, she always looked sad. In the end, I had had enough of it. Lucy, I'm sick of you always looking so miserable. If you don't cheer yourself up, then I'm going to tell the teachers what you did. She put a smile on her face. I could see that she was only pretending to be happy, but I didn't care. As long as I was happy, that's all that mattered. Once Lucy and I started dating properly, I let all the other girls go. I can tell you, they weren't very happy about it.
Who's gonna do my homework now?
I guess you'll have to do it yourself.
Wait, that's not fair. Why can't you still do it?
I'm dating Lucy now, and it's serious.
Yeah, right.
It is. Ask her.
Okay, I will.
I watched as the girl walked over to Lucy. Even though I couldn't hear what they were saying, I could see from the look of surprise on the girl's face that Lucy had obviously confirmed what I had told her. The girl looked really angry, and then she just stormed off. Lucy looked over at me. I gave her a huge grin, but she just shook her head and walked off in the opposite direction. I told myself that it didn't matter. The most important thing was that Lucy was my girlfriend. It was about a week after the incident with the other girl when the principal sent a message asking to see me in his office.
You'd better go now. You don't want to keep Mr. Wilson waiting, Ethan.
Yes, miss. Did he say what it was about?
I'm sorry, Ethan. I have no idea. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about.
As I made my way to Mr. Wilson's office, I couldn't help but feel nervous. I had always been a bit scared of Mr. Wilson. He was over 6 foot tall and had a huge booming voice. You could hear him all over the school. I knocked on his door.
Come in.
I opened the door and went in. You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes, Ethan, sit down. Ethan, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I have something very serious to say to you.
My heart dropped to the floor and my stomach started churning nervously.
We all know about your little business.
I couldn't believe it. I'm not helping anyone anymore, sir. I've given the business up.
I'm sorry, it's too late, Ethan. You're going to be expelled.
What? No!
I'm afraid so. We don't tolerate any kind of cheating at this school. You know that.
I was so angry, I left Mr. Wilson's office and ran down the corridor to the lockers. As soon as I got there, I saw Lucy standing at the far end of the room. What have you done? I can't believe you told the principal about my business.
What? I didn't tell him anything.
Don't try to deny it. I know it's you.
I'm telling the truth, Ethan. I never said a word. She's right. It wasn't her. It was us.
I turned around and saw a group of girls standing behind me. Actually, it was all the girls that I had ever helped with their homework. Why would you do that? You know I'm going to be expelled now, don't you?
Well, you shouldn't have ditched us. If you'd keep on helping us with our homework, this would never have happened.
You're gonna regret doing this. They all just stood there laughing at me.
Oh yeah? What are you gonna do then?
Just wait and see. I was absolutely seething. There was no way I was going to let them get away with what they had done to me. That's when I came up with my plan for revenge. I waited until the end of the day when everyone had gone home, and I crept into the teacher's office. All the essays and homework that I had done for all the girls were in a pile on the teacher's desk. I quickly replaced them and took the original ones with me. The following day, I had been told to go into school to collect my grades. As I sat in the class with everyone else, I could tell that they were all whispering about me. They're probably all talking about the fact that I've been expelled. Well, they'll have something else to talk about soon. The teacher came into the room and started handing out the grades.
Ethan, A+. Mark, B+. Craig, A.
She went on and on. Most of the boys had got really good grades, but then she came to the girls.
I'm sorry to say that the girls haven't done as well as the boys this year. Lucy has got an A, very well done, but all the rest of the girls have all got the same grade, an F.
I heard a loud gasp coming from one of the girls, and then they all started screaming.
What did you do, Ethan? I hate you. You did this, didn't you?
They all started crowding around me. The teacher tried to get them to sit down, but they wouldn't listen to her.
It's him, miss. He has somehow sabotaged our work.
Sit down. Be quiet.
I didn't say anything, but inside I was gloating. That will teach them all to try to get me into trouble. They'll think twice before messing with me again.
Come on now, get back to your seats.
During all the commotion, Lucy hadn't said a word. But once everyone had quieted down, she stood up and came over to me.
I hate you, Ian. You are mean and you are manipulative. You can't carry on like this, forcing people to do things that they don't want to do.
How can you say that, Lucy? Do you really think that I'm a mean person?
Of course I do. You don't care about what I want. You only think about getting what you want. I told you that I didn't want to date you anymore, but you didn't listen. Instead, you blackmailed me into staying with you. I'm unhappy and you don't even care.
But I love you.
If you truly loved me, you would want me to be happy, wouldn't you?
But I thought that if you spent more time with me, you would fall in love with me.
I'm sorry, Ethan, but it doesn't work like that.
I was so shocked. I hadn't really thought about anyone else's feelings. I was only concerned about how I was feeling. I suppose I have been pretty mean. I shouldn't have tried to control Lucy like that. She is a nice person, and she deserves to be able to date whoever she wants. I also realized at that point that I probably shouldn't have run a girl dating homework business. I mean, it had brought me a lot of pleasure, but none of it was real. Those girls hadn't wanted to kiss me or date me. They had only gone out with me because they wanted their homework done. I suppose I should have just tried to date a girl the old-fashioned way, by letting them get to know the real me, letting my personality shine through instead.
I took a deep breath and summoned up all the courage I had inside of me. I was surrounded on all sides by ninjas. This wasn't going to be easy. One by one, they all began to launch their attack. I fought back with all of my strength. One charged at me with his star. I did a backflip and jumped out of his way. Another came at me from behind. I grabbed him and threw him down to the ground. The last one was the biggest and strongest of them all. He punched me in the stomach and knocked all the wind out of me. It took everything I had to recover from that. But I fought back, landing punches and kicks to his face and body.
Hi-ya!
Ha! Hi-ya! I watched as he fell to the ground like a burst balloon. As I looked to the right of me, I saw the sensei give me a nod of approval.
Well done, young one.
But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, or you might end up having to fight ninjas too. I go to a school for ninjas. How did I get to this point? Well, let me explain. I grew up in a suburban neighborhood where nothing exciting ever happened. I was a normal girl living a normal life until one day, something happened that turned my life upside down. The day had started off just like any other. My mom and dad had gone off to work early, and I was left alone to sort out my breakfast and get myself to school. When I got home from school, my mom was in the kitchen making dinner. Hi, Mom. I'm home.
Hi, Alana. How was your day?
Oh, you know, boring as always.
Be a good girl and go and set the table for dinner. Your dad will be home soon.
It smells yummy. What are we having?
Your favorite, mac and cheese.
Yes! I went through to the dining room to set the table. It was only a few minutes later that I heard my dad's car pulling into the drive. Dad's home!
Okay, we'll eat straight away then.
The three of us sat down to dinner, chatting away. None of us had any idea what the night was going to bring. After dinner, we sat down to watch TV. The movie had only been playing for about half an hour when suddenly the wind started howling outside. There was a crack of thunder and a flash of lightning lit up the sky.
Gosh, that's one big storm we're having.
Just as my mom had finished speaking, we heard a loud bang.
That sounds like something has fallen in the garden. I'd better go and check.
I'll come with you. Alana, you stay inside, okay?
My parents went outside to see what the commotion had been about. I sat inside, huddled up on the sofa. I waited and waited, but they never came back. I started to get really worried about them. I opened the door and shouted for them, but there was no answer. Mom, Dad, where are you? My parents never came back, so I had to go and live with my grandparents. I hated it. I was so unhappy. They were always complaining about every little thing I did.
Alana, put your things away.
Alana, you haven't washed the dishes.
They were constantly criticizing me. It felt like I could never do anything right. I really hoped that one day I would be able to go live somewhere else. Well, surprisingly, that day came sooner than I expected it would. It was a Saturday morning, and my grandparents had gone into town shopping. I was sitting in the lounge reading when I heard a knock at the door. I wonder who that can be. When I opened the door, I saw a boy, about my age, standing there. Hello, can I help you?
Alana?
Yes, that's right. Who are you?
I'm Keanu. I'm a friend of your parents.
I was a bit shocked when he said he knew my parents. What do you want?
I have something to tell you. You have ancestral ninja blood in you.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I think you should go to ninja school.
Is that even a thing?
It most definitely is. It's your destiny, and you should go to the right school to receive your training.
It definitely wasn't what I expected to be doing with my life. But what did I have to lose? I wanted to live somewhere else, so it might as well be at ninja school. Okay, I'll do it. Keanu gave me all the details of the school that I should go to and told me to start the following week. When I told my grandparents what I was planning to do, they were all for it.
I think it's a great idea, Alana. It will be good for you.
I hadn't expected them to be so understanding, but I was happy that I didn't have to fight them over my decision. Monday morning, I turned up at the ninja school. It was a bit overwhelming at first. There was so much that I needed to learn. My days were spent learning how to throw a star and how to do backflips. The craziest thing I had to learn about was how to use a nunchuck. The teachers made it look so easy, but I can tell you, it was the opposite of easy. The weeks went by and I slowly began to feel like I belonged there. By the end of my 3rd week there, I could handle a star like the rest of the students. When the last lesson of the day had finished, the sensei asked me to stay behind.
Alana, I want to have a word with you.
Yes, sir.
I think you are ready.
Really? Oh, wow. Do you really think I'm prepared enough?
Yes, I do. Tomorrow, you will have your first real ninja fight. You will be up against some of our finest ninjas.
I could hardly sleep that night. I was filled with a mixture of fear and excitement. The minute the sun came shining through my bedroom curtains, I was awake and jumping out of bed. When I got down to the courtyard, the place was already filled with spectators. It seemed like everyone wanted to see me in my first fight. I took a deep breath and summoned up all the courage I had inside of me. I was surrounded on all sides by ninjas. This wasn't going to be easy. One by one, they all began to launch their attack. I fought back with all of my strength. One charged at me with his star. I did a backflip and jumped out of his way. Another, then another came at me.
Hi-ya!
Ha! Hi-ya! I watched as they all fell to the ground like burst balloons. As I looked to the right of me, I saw the sensei give me a nod of approval.
Well done, young one.
After my fight, all the other students came over to congratulate me.
Great fight, Alana. You thrashed them.
Thanks. It was about a week after my first fight, and I had spent all week honing my skills. The sensei had been watching as I practiced and practiced.
Young one, you are ready for your next fight.
Who was it with?
Keanu.
I gasped. Keanu? But he is one of the best fighters. It will be too difficult for me.
I think you are ready. You can only do your best, can't you?
I wish that I had as much faith in my abilities as the sensei seemed to. There is no way I can beat Keanu. He is much more experienced than me. I stood in front of Keanu, not taking my eyes off of him. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see the sensei telling the crowd to be quiet.
At the count of 3, the fight will begin. 1, 2, 3.
No sooner had he said the word than Keanu jumped up in the air and lashed out at me with both feet. I dodged quickly to the left, narrowly missing being kicked. Before he had the chance to kick me again, I grabbed hold of his upper body and threw him to the ground. I thought that would be enough to wind him, but he immediately sprang back up onto his feet. This is too hard. I'm not ready for this. I pushed the negative thoughts out of my head and lunged at Keanu. He dodged out of the way, and I went sprawling onto the floor. I really thought that I was finished. But with one last burst of energy, I jumped to my feet and punched him straight in the face. Bang! The noise reverberated around the courtyard as he hit the ground like a ton of bricks. The crowd erupted in cheers. I couldn't believe it. I had beaten him.
Good fight, young one. Better luck next time, Keanu.
Keanu and I shook hands with each other, and then with our sensei.
Now, both of you shower, then go back to your dorms.
By the time I had finished showering, the buzz from the adrenaline running through my body had just about subsided. I felt on such a high. I can't believe I did it. I beat him. As I walked towards the dorm, I caught sight of Keanu walking across towards the sheds. I called out to him, but he didn't hear me. I really hoped that he wouldn't have any hard feelings about the fight. I think I'll just go over and make sure he is okay. But when I got closer to the shed that Keanu had gone into, I got the shock of my life. He was talking on the phone, and I could hear every word. All the blood drained from my face, and I stood there frozen on the spot. Keanu ended the call and walked out of the shed, bumping straight into me.
Oh, hi, Alana. I didn't see you there.
You were talking about my parents, weren't you?
What? No. What are you talking about?
Don't lie. I heard you say their names.
You must be mistaken.
I know what I heard. Now tell me what's going on.
Okay. Look, your parents aren't dead.
What?
Your parents are ninjas too, but the evilest ninja of them all is out to get them.
So where are they now?
They're in hiding, and they were scared that you might be targeted too. So they asked me to convince you to join a ninja school so you could learn to defend yourself.
I was so shocked. Well, you would be too, wouldn't you? One minute you think your parents are dead, and the next you're told they're actually in hiding and are ninjas? Just as I was trying to digest what I'd just been told, I suddenly heard shouts coming from the other side of the courtyard. The school was being attacked. Ninjas in red started running towards Keanu and I. I looked at him and he nodded at me. We both began fighting the attackers. As I punched on and sent them flying through the air, I saw another creeping up at Keanu from behind. "Watch out behind you!" Just in time, Keanu turned and launched himself at his attacker. He knocked him to the floor, and at the same time, a ninja in gold uniform came flying at me.
Be careful, Alana! That's the evilest ninja!
"So you're the one after my parents, are you?" I started to fight the ninja, but I didn't notice him taking his star and lobbing it at me. I had no time to dodge it, but just as I was expecting to feel it piercing into my body, Keanu jumped in front of me and took the star straight into his chest. I leapt at the gold ninja and kicked him to the ground. Luckily, just as he went down, the police turned up at the school.
We'll take it from here, young lady. You've done a great job.
The police slipped the handcuffs onto the gold ninja and took him away. I ran over to Keanu. "Keanu, are you okay?" The gold star was sticking out of his chest, and he was having difficulty breathing. He tried to speak, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. I leant closer to him, and he whispered in my ear,
"I love you."
My face fell in shock. I didn't know what to say. But then the medics turned up and started treating Keanu.
He's going to need to go into surgery. It's a deep wound, penetrating right into his chest. We're going to take him straight to the hospital.
"I'm coming too." The medics looked at the sensei, and he nodded.
Okay, Alana, you can go with him. We will be along to see him later.
I jumped in the ambulance with Keanu and held his hand as we drove to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, the doctors took one look at Keanu and rushed him straight into emergency. The nurse told me to go to the waiting room.
As soon as he is out of surgery, I will let you know.
Thank you. I gave her a weak smile. I was worried sick about Keanu. I waited and waited, willing the door to open and for the nurse to come and tell me he was all right. Suddenly, the hairs on my arms stood up on end. I could sense a presence behind me. Don't tell me the ninjas have come to attack me here. I jumped up and prepared to fight. But when I saw who was standing behind me, I let out a cry. "Mom! Dad!" I ran to them and hugged them both. "I'm so glad to see you. I thought you were dead."
I'm sorry, Alana. We had to go into hiding.
But you can come home now, right?
I'm sorry, not yet. We need to remain in hiding for a little longer. We have a few more enemies to remove, and then we will be able to join you again.
Even though I was disappointed that they wouldn't be coming home, I knew that they had important work to do.
Will you be okay?
Yes, I'll be fine. You don't need to worry about me. I have a friend at school anyway. Just then, the door opened and a nurse walked in.
The operation was a success. He's awake now if you'd like to go to see him.
I looked at my mom and dad. Do you mind?
Of course not. You go and see your friend.
As I walked out of the room, my parents gave each other a knowing smile. I opened the door to Keanu's room. He looked up at me and smiled.
Hi, Alana.
Keanu, I can't believe what you did. You sacrificed yourself to save me.
Oh, it was nothing.
No, it wasn't. It was the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me.
I would do anything for you, Alana.
I looked at Keanu, and my heart literally melted. Keanu, did you mean what you said to me earlier? Do you really love me? He blushed.
Yes, I do.
I paused, then I hugged him quickly. I love you too. As soon as she entered the room, everyone stopped what they were doing and just stared at her. She was so beautiful, you know, one of those girls who just looks good without putting in any effort. I knew immediately that everyone would want to be friends with her, and I was right. Everyone began to gather around her.
Hey, you're new here, right? What's your name?
Hi there. You can sit with me if you like.
And that was just the girls. The boys mostly just stood there staring with their mouths drooling like little lost puppies. As for me, I just sat at the back of the class, trying not to get noticed. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. This is the only way to be as beautiful as that new girl. As I watched her walk through the classroom, smiling at everyone as she passed, I couldn't help but wish that I was like her. I had been at the school for ages, but I still hadn't made any friends. Sure, kids would say hi to me, but no one ever asked me to sit with them at lunch or to hang out after school. I tried not to let it bother me, but it was lonely sometimes, not having a friend. The new girl, on the other hand, well, it was obvious it wouldn't take her long to make some friends. I felt sure that she would take up one of the many offers that were being thrown at her, but instead, she just kept on walking. I started to get a bit puzzled. Is she coming over to me?
Hi there. I'm new here. Do you mind if I sit with you?
I looked around me, just to double check she wasn't talking to someone else. Yeah, sure, sit down. She sat down next to me.
I'm Rebecca. What's your name?
Clara. I couldn't believe out of everyone in the class, she had chosen to sit next to me. I could see everyone else was just as confused as I was. They were all staring at me, but I didn't care. I was so happy. Maybe finally I will have a friend. From that day on, Rebecca and I became really good friends. It was so nice having someone to confide in and giggle about silly stuff with. I didn't have to sit on my own at lunchtime, pretending I was enjoying my own company. And do you know what's funny? Once I was friends with Rebecca, the other girls started being friendly towards me too. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. They were only using me to get to Rebecca. But I didn't care. It was just nice to be popular for a change. It was about 2 months after I met Rebecca that something strange happened to me. I was walking through the park when I suddenly sensed someone behind me. I turned around and saw a man walking behind me. Is he following me? My heart started beating faster and I quickened my pace. I tried not to panic. Stay calm, Clara. You'll be fine. Suddenly, I heard a shout from the other side of the park. I looked over and was surprised to see Rebecca standing there.
Clara, wait!
I stopped and waited for Rebecca to catch up with me. Hey, what are you doing here?
Oh, I was just going for a jog around the park. You know, a bit of exercise.
Oh, right. I'm just on my way home.
Okay, take care. See you at school tomorrow.
I watched as Rebecca jogged off. The man had also disappeared, so I felt relieved. I had just left the park when something inside me told me to go back. I have no idea what it was, just a weird compulsion to go back there. What I saw there gave me the biggest shock of my life. Behind the public toilets, I could see the man that I had been suspicious of. He was tied up and you will never guess who was interrogating him. Rebecca! I tried to listen to what she was saying, but it was windy and I only managed to catch a couple of words. Princess and kidnap. I was really shocked. What on earth is going on? I thought it was better if Rebecca didn't see me, so instead of saying anything, I just crept away quietly. When I got home, I went over and over in my mind what had happened. The more I thought about it, the more I became confused. I realized that I actually didn't know that much about Rebecca. I mean, yeah, we were friends, but I didn't know anything about her family or where she was from. When I saw Rebecca at school the next day, I didn't mention anything about seeing her with the man at the park, but I decided I would try to find out a bit more about her. So anyway, Rebecca, you've never told me much about your family. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
No, it's just me.
What about your mom and dad? What do they do?
Oh, you know, this and that.
Where did you live before you came to the school?
Oh, sorry, Clara. I just remembered. I forgot my maths book. I'll just go back to my locker to get it.
With that, she shot off without a backward glance. I shook my head. She is definitely hiding something. I wonder why she is so secretive about her family. I decided that whatever it wasn't worth losing my friend over, so I just let it go. Anyway, I had something exciting to look forward to. For the first time since I had been at that school, I had gotten an invitation to a party. I couldn't believe it when Maxine handed it to me.
I really hope you can come, Clara.
Thank you, yes, I'll be there. I showed the invitation to Rebecca. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I can't believe she invited me.
Why wouldn't she?
You don't understand. Until you came along, the other girls didn't hardly speak to me. They definitely wouldn't have invited me to their party. We're gonna have so much fun.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clara. You'll have to go without me. I have family stuff to do, so I won't be able to make it.
Oh, that's a shame. I was a bit disappointed that Rebecca wasn't able to go, but nothing could stop my excitement. The night of the party arrived. I wore my best dress and had my hair done especially. When I got to the party, it was already in full swing. Maxine came over to meet me.
Clara, so glad you could come. Help yourself to a drink and then come and join us over here.
I grabbed myself a Coke and went to join the other girls. They were super friendly to me, introducing me to everyone and making sure I had a good time. When their favorite song came on, they all rushed off to dance.
Come on, Clara, we love this song. Come and dance.
I laughed. It's okay, I think I'll sit this one out. I stood there watching them all have fun. Even though I was alone, I didn't feel lonely. It was a nice feeling to be part of their group. I'd only been there a couple of minutes when I heard a voice behind me.
Hi, it's Clara, isn't it?
I turned around to see who had spoken. When I saw who it was, my heart nearly stopped and I could hardly speak. Standing there was only the hottest guy in school, Blake Edwards. Yes, that is me. I groaned inwardly. That is me? That is me? Did I come from the Middle Ages or something? I was mortified. My cheeks turned bright red, but he didn't seem to notice.
I'm Blake. Would you like another drink?
Oh, yes please. Coke please.
Wait here. I'll go and get you one.
I couldn't believe Blake Edwards was actually talking to me. Every girl in our school dreamed of getting a date with him. He had only been gone a few seconds. When the girls arrived back from their dancing...
Clara, is that Blake Edwards you were talking to?
Yes. He's just gone to get me a drink.
Are you serious? He never does anything for anyone. He must really like you.
Do you think so?
Definitely.
Shh. He's coming back. Blake handed me my drink and smiled at the other girls.
Great party, yeah?
Oh, yes. It's so much fun. I spent the rest of the evening chatting to Blake.
We should hang out again sometime.
Yes, definitely. Anytime.
Okay, give me your number and I'll call you.
I gave Blake my number, but then it was time to go, so I went to say goodbye to Maxine. I can't believe what time it is. I've had so much fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming. See you at school.
I left the party and started walking home. I hadn't gone very far when suddenly Rebecca appeared in front of me.
You shouldn't be walking home alone, Clara.
Why are you here, Rebecca? I thought you weren't coming.
I changed my mind, and I'm just telling you it's not safe. You shouldn't walk home alone at night.
Why are you always protecting me? And whilst we're at it, what is it with you and your family stuff?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Every time I ask you any questions about your family or your past, you change the subject or dodge the question. What are you hiding?
You really want to know all about me?
Yes, I do. She sighed.
Okay, come back to my house with me now, and you will find out everything you want to know.
I followed Rebecca, neither of us saying anything.
This is my home.
I was expecting to see a nice family house, but instead, it was just a small room. Oh, it's nice and cozy. Rebecca opened the door and I followed her inside. What I saw when I got in there gave me the biggest shock. I was expecting to meet Rebecca's parents, but instead, all I saw was a room full of cameras, mics, and what looked like surveillance equipment. What is this? What's going on?
You wanted to know the truth, so here it is.
Rebecca, you're starting to freak me out now. Just tell me what is going on, please.
You'd better sit down, Clara.
I sat on the sofa, and Rebecca began to explain.
Look, this might sound unbelievable to you, but you have to trust me.
I was doubtful, but I agreed. Okay, go on.
Clara, you're not who you think you are.
What do you mean?
You're actually a princess. You came from a small country called Golavia.
Are you crazy? I'm not a princess.
You are, Clara, honestly. You were sent here when you were very young for your own safety. It was dangerous back in Golavia for you, because so many people wanted to abduct you and hold you for ransom. The people you think are your parents are actually being paid to take care of you. Your biological parents are back in Golavia.
I sat there staring at Rebecca, trying to take in everything she had told me. Well, if all that is true, why are you here?
Word got out back in Golavia about where you were living and your true identity. Now there are many people wanting to get you. I was sent to your school to protect you from the inside.
So that day at the park, with that man, was he trying to abduct me?
I'm not really sure, but I couldn't take any chances. When I saw him following you, I had to cause a distraction.
But I saw you later. I came back to the park and I saw you interrogating him behind the public toilet building.
Yes, you're right. I did ask him some questions to see if he knew who you were. He denied everything. Said he was just taking a walk through the park. But it's better to be safe than sorry.
Suddenly, a horrific thought crossed my mind. Rebecca, did you only make friends with me because it was your mission?
No, Clara, I really like you.
Of course I was told to introduce myself to you. But after that, we became really close. I love hanging out with you. Please tell me we can still be friends?
I hesitated for a minute. I mean, it's not nice to hear that the person you trusted and you thought was your best friend actually turns out to have been hired to take care of you. But then I realized that I'd be cutting off my nose to spite my face if I fell out with Rebecca. Of course I still want. But before I could continue my sentence, the door to the room came crashing down and around 10 big burly men came running in. I was petrified, but Rebecca didn't look worried.
Clara, get behind the sofa, now!
I ran behind the sofa and watched as Rebecca started attacking the men. Even though it was 10 against 1, she showed no fear. Bang! She threw a punch and knocked one of the men straight to the floor. He was completely unconscious. The next thing, 2 of them lunged at her, but she dodged them and they went sprawling across the floor. Immediately, she spun around and landed a flying kick to both of their heads. One by one, she dealt with each of the men.
Pass me that rope behind you.
I handed the rope to her and she started tying the men up. I was just going to ask her what she was going to do with them when we heard police sirens getting closer and closer. 2 minutes later, the room was filled with policemen.
We'll take care of this now. You can leave them all to us.
I turned to Rebecca. Oh my god, you were amazing. I was so scared when they came bursting in, but you dealt with them like a pro.
You don't have to thank me. That's what friends are for. That is, if you still want us to be friends.
I do. You are my best friend. Nothing could ever come between us. But what is going to happen next?
Well, your identity has been compromised now. There's nothing else for it. You will have to go back to Golavia with me. We need to see what your real parents want to do.
I stood there hesitating before I answered. Move back to Golivia? My real parents? What about my parents back home here? And I was still processing the fact that I was a princess. I was about to respond to Rebecca when suddenly another loud boom sounded and everything went black. Want to know what happens next? Get this video to 30,000 likes and we'll make a part 2.